Chinese female spy Xin Ziyi, intelligent, witty, brave and fearless, excels in both medicine and poison. However, she died unexpectedly during a mission, but fate surprised her. She even carried her psychic space to travel to the Western Frontier Dynasty. She is still the nemesis of Murong Li, the fifth prince of the Western Yan Dynasty. Murong Li is proud and aloof, but he has repeatedly failed in front of Xin Ziyi, and every time he is subdued by Xin Ziyi, hahaha. Chapter 1. Crossing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When the night is dark and the wind is high, in the chaotic burial mound on the outskirts of the western edge of the city, the surrounding environment is quiet and gloomy. Moonlight shines through sparse clouds on this desolate outskirts, reflecting a strange scene. In the silence, there are occasional sounds of wind and rustling leaves, which make people feel uneasy, and a chill comes from their spine in this originally gloomy and eerie peaceful atmosphere. A few mournful crow cries suddenly came from somewhere. The voice was mournful, as if it was a soul-calling voice, or as if telling those lonely ghosts, it's time. You can come out and move, which made people feel creepy when they heard it. After a few mournful crow calls, the trembling environment around seemed to disappear with the crow's calls and then return to a peaceful state. In no time, the crow flew out of nowhere, flapping its wings and making a rustling sound. The crow flew over the dark night, circled in the air for a few times, and then didn't know where it was heading, but the originally gloomy and peaceful atmosphere of the mass grave was completely shattered. After the crow flew away, gusts of wind blew in, and some withered branches and leaves swayed with the wind, making a creepy sound, as if trying hard to call out the ghosts who came out to move. Listening carefully, it seems that ghosts have really come out with a whimper. In the pit of the pile of dead, there is a ghost that is making a painful and mournful sound. Oh, no, it's not right. It was in this gloomy and chaotic burial mound, where a woman lay on the brink of death. Her face was pale, her breathing weak, as if she was about to die at any moment. A cool and gloomy wind caressed her face, and she suddenly opened her eyes and regained consciousness. Her first thought was that she should have fainted here. She reached out to support herself to get up, but found herself with a scattered pain and powerlessness all over her body, making it difficult to get up. She didn't understand anymore. She had fought with those black suit men before, but she shouldn't be in such a state where her energy was completely depleted now. Right, she felt that even during the double special training organized, the physical exertion she expended was even more intense than that fight, and her whole body was not as sore and powerless as it is now. She felt like her body was being crushed and her limbs had been dismantled. With a sense of powerlessness that made her unable to move, she thought, since she couldn't get up and walk, let's just crawl out. So, relying on the last bit of perseverance, she gritted her teeth and struggled to get out of the pile of dead people. She tried again and again, but it seemed that no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't climb out of the pile of dead people, and the corpses around her emitted an extremely disgusting stench, causing her stomach to churn uncontrollably, vomiting incessantly, even bitter bile to be vomited out. She held her breath and lamented in a painful nasal tone, "Ah, ah, 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 ah. What's the smell? It smells so bad. Woo woo. Help, ah ah. Woo 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 woo. What kind of ghost place is this? How come it smells so bad? Nauseous. Nauseous. It smells so bad. Nauseous. Yaya, what kind of ghost place is this? Ah, ah, ah. Yaya, I'm panicking and choosing no other way. How could I escape to such a place? A clever and witty player like me shouldn't be. Woo 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 woo. Damn it. Ah ah ah. This damn place. I'm so angry. But no matter how much she complains, it's useless. She just doesn't have the strength now. She can't climb out of this pit. She doesn't want to stay here. This place is really too smelly. She must find a way to climb out and get away from here. She told herself, stay calm, I need to stay calm. Then, she closed her eyes and tried her best to calm herself down, while her mind quickly pondered over methods. She knows that only by staying calm can she find a solution to the problem. by the way, charge up. Calm down and gather strength. She decided to calm down and gather energy before attempting to climb out. Every time she exerted her strength, she gritted her teeth and searched for and grabbed something that could make her exert her strength. She struggled little by little to climb up. Slowly she has only one belief in her heart. Yeah, I want to crawl out. I want to crawl out. I don't believe in evil. She silently counted in her heart, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then, time and time again, I tried to crawl towards the outside of the pit. Little by little, in the end, with her persistent efforts and almost all her strength, she finally crawled out of the pit of the pile of dead people. She crawled out and finally breathed a sigh of relief, but at this moment, her whole body was even more sore and trembling. In order to climb out of that pit, she felt like she had gone through a difficult battle, and it was really exhausting for her. She never imagined that such an inconspicuous pit would almost become a hurdle she couldn't cross, requiring her to exert all her strength and effort to climb out with difficulty. During this tumultuous process, some of her hair was soaked in sweat and stuck to her forehead, covering her eyes. Some of her hair was fluffy and scattered on her shoulders. In short, it was as messy as a chicken coop on her head. Her dress had also become unrecognizable, covered in dirt and some foul stains, looking very disheveled. That was originally a set of formal red wedding dresses, but now it has become tattered and tattered. But those tattered places don't seem to have been worn out by crawling just now, they seem to have been roughly torn. The dilapidated area is no longer able to showcase the original style of the dress, making people feel that the beggar's attire is not as shabby as her dress, and there are some rags and cotton fluff hanging in the tattered areas of the dress. As if telling the story of this dress and the unfortunate experience of the owner, her face was also covered in dirty, foul-smelling dirt, pitch black, and there were large blood stains sticking to her mouth, making it impossible to see her true appearance. She looks a bit like a fierce female ghost climbing up from hell and coming to seek her life. If she sticks out her tongue and hangs it, it's really like that. The shoes on her feet were also dirty, and if you didn't look carefully, you wouldn't even notice that they were a pair of red shoes inlaid with pearls, and there was a pearl inlaid on one of the shoes that had scattered at some point, and the scattered pearls didn't even know where they had fallen. Perhaps they were scattered in the pit of the dead. Although they have climbed up from the pile of dead people, they are still very close to the pit where they are buried. The Yin wind blows through the pile of dead people, emitting a foul odor that drifts in with the wind. It is really unbearable. There was no other choice but for her to make another difficult effort and barely climb a distance of 1 meter from the pile of dead people, but this time, her strength was really exhausted and she didn't have any extra strength to climb any further. The whole person was tired, thirsty, and powerless, exhausted and trembling with weak limbs, causing her to lie limp on the ground, panting weakly to rest. She was in a state of collapse, unable to move, but her inner determination was still roaring angrily. What a damn place, what a damn place. Is there a water source? Where is the water source? I'm so thirsty. Quick thirst. She hasn't finished roaring yet. Suddenly, her sharp nerves alerted her, and she noticed a distant sound coming from afar. She immediately stopped her inner roar, pressed her ears to the ground, and carefully focused on analyzing the direction and distance of the sound source. When she realized that the sound was coming towards her, she quickly scanned her surroundings, but the surroundings were pitch black, and she couldn't even see in which direction the incoming person would appear, and she couldn't even see where to hide. Besides, it seems that she can't find a place to hide. Her hands and feet are so weak that she can't move, and she can't even crawl to find a place to hide. Listening to the sound getting closer and closer, her heart was also accelerating, and she suddenly felt panic in her heart. She is also a top-notch and versatile female special agent in the organization, but now she has fallen into this embarrassing situation. She bit her lips tightly, trying to calm her emotions. She told herself that the more it was like this, the less she could panic. She calmly analyzed the current situation and how she should respond. It can be analyzed, but ultimately she was defeated by the problem where she is now completely powerless. All her remaining strength was spent trying to climb out of the pit in the pile of dead people. You have died young. Let no one live. A top-notch female special agent, she's going to fall into the embarrassing situation of being slaughtered by others. It's too embarrassing. Sobbing, 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 sobbing. I don't know if that group of people in black suits are chasing after me. At present, only those people want my little life. Woo 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 woo. The sound of tapping was getting closer and closer, and she could hear the sound of horse hooves, which made her wonder again, how could it be the sound of horses' hooves? Are those people riding horses chasing me? Or might it not be those black suit people? But at this moment, she doesn't have much time to think about anything else. Life is important. To survive, one must find a way to seek a glimmer of hope, but now that she can't move, how can she find hope? Or to put it another way, if one is caught, they will rely on adapting to the situation. Oh my, the current predicament is really a bit desperate. She couldn't help but roar in her heart again. Oh my goodness, you said, are you going to kill me? Oh my goodness, I can't do it. I'm still young, and I haven't had enough free-spirited life yet. Please let me go. Woo 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 woo. What should I do? What should I do? If there were invisibility techniques that could make one swoosh and become invisible, that would be great. If you know how to transform, it's also possible. With just a spell, you can immediately shrink to the size of an ant, so you won't be noticed. Alternatively, it could turn into leaves. You can look up on the tree and find out what kind of person is here. Hey, what's the change? I'm not Sun Wukong, and I don't know how to change 72 times. Everything I'm thinking now is just a pipe dream. Hey hey. Hey, forget it, let's just pretend to be dead. Currently, the only way to be more practical is to pretend to be dead. She closed her eyes, brainstorming various imaginative ideas and special abilities in her mind. This can also be considered as an alternative comfort to oneself, right? Suddenly, she thought of the Supreme Academy of Science and Technology in Dr. Lin. I couldn't help but mutter in my heart, I don't know about the psychic space developed by Dr. Lin either. Power space. Just at the critical moment, several galloping horses rushed to the pile of dead people at the mass grave. At the same time, in a blink of an eye, I kept lying on the mournful side, amidst the chattering of various gods and goddesses, and miraculously disappeared in place in an instant after getting off their horses. A few people in black quickly walked to the edge of the pile of dead people and immediately stopped their steps. Then everyone brushed together and covered their mouths and noses with their hands, saying, "It smells so bad. It smells so bad." At this moment, a black-clad man led by him walked over and spoke out with a cold and solemn expression, "Don't make such a fuss, everyone go and look for it quickly. Make sure to find and take that woman away." The few black-clothed people who were originally shouting about their foul smell immediately stopped their chattering as soon as they heard their leader speak. Then they all responded in unison, "Yes." Then a few black-clothed men lit torches and jumped into the pit of the dead, braving the stench of the corpses. They began to search for them, but those black-clothed men searched for an hour in the pit of the dead, rummaged through the bodies in the pile, and couldn't find the woman they were looking for. A man in black couldn't help but hold his head up and said, "Commander Mo, we searched through this pile of dead people but couldn't find that woman. What should we do?" Someone started fighting, and then another person in black continued to analyze in frustration, saying, "Commander Mo Song and I have left this pile of dead people after only a few cups of tea. After receiving the command from Commander Mo, I quickly turned back and arrived here with you again. That woman should still be sitting on top of the pile of dead people, but now, we've all gone down to the bottom and still haven't found it. The body hasn't been treated with any medicine before, it can't have decayed so quickly, can it?" Mo Song, whose name was mentioned by the second speaker in black, was also puzzled and continued, "Yes, Commander Mo, it's really strange looking back on this matter. I remember throwing that woman in this position with Mo Qing." Mo Song gestured with his hand and pointed to a position for General Mo to see, then continued speaking, "But now, we've rummaged through the entire pit and can't find that woman. And, didn't our prince say she was poisoned? There's no antidote, Wang. She can't have survived, can she? But it's gone now. As soon as Mo Song finished speaking, another man in black couldn't wait to say, "Yes, Commander Mo, we've been searching for so long now and can't find anyone. What should we do? Do you still need to continue searching for this? This place really stinks." The man in black is called Mo Nan. After finishing speaking, he timidly glanced at the commander. He really doesn't want to stay in this stinky place anymore, so he can't wait to express his opinion, but he was also afraid that he would say the wrong thing. If he were punished to wash the thatched cottage again, he would be miserable. He has already been fined 4 times by the leader for brushing the thatched cottage this month. Mo Song saw Mo Nan's timid and talkative demeanor, and in order to help ease his embarrassment, he took over the conversation and said, "Commander Mo, I was thinking. Could the woman have already been saved?" After hearing this, the leader of the Mo commander did not nod in agreement or shake his head to deny it. After a moment of silence, as if contemplating the possibility that Mo Song had mentioned, he finally spoke up, "I have searched all over this pile of dead people but haven't found anyone. Perhaps someone has saved me, or maybe I have become a beast's prey. Since we can't find it anymore, let's withdraw and go back to report to the prince first." Several people in black responded in unison, "Yes." Then, a few black-clothed men extinguished the torches and flew onto their horses, galloping west along the direction of the city. The woman who flashed into the psychic space didn't know she was in a safe place. She thought it was because it was getting dark, so she lay on the ground pretending to be dead. Those people didn't notice her, so she finally escaped this calamity. It seems that she was right to spend all her strength climbing 1 meter away from the pile of dead people. Not only could she stay away from the stench a bit, but she could also save herself. At that time, she was worried that she would be discovered, so she kept her eyes tightly closed, held her breath, and quietly lay on the ground pretending to be dead. But he perked up his ears to listen to the strange conversations of those people in black. What kind of prince? What Mo commander? What ink pine? What do these all mean? Is it the code name in those black suit organizations? Do you like something so retro? What other pile of dead people are there? Is the pit she was struggling to climb out of just now a pile of dead people? Isn't that inconspicuous pit blown up by a bomb? If it wasn't a pit blown up by a bomb, how did she faint in such a pit filled with dead people? Yeah, it's a pit of dead people, no wonder it smells so bad. Nauseous. Oh my, why do you feel like everything is in a mess? It seems like your brain is a bit lacking. Moreover, those people are indeed looking for a woman. Are they really looking for her? By the way, those people also said that the woman they were looking for was poisoned, so if she diagnoses her pulse, she'll know. So she quietly reached out and gave herself a pulse, then her heart skipped a beat and kept murmuring incessantly, "Yeah, she's really poisoned." Not only did she get poisoned, but she also suffered serious internal injuries. Yeah, those people are really looking for her. But why did you get poisoned? Is that bomb made with poison? And they were also infected with 2 types of poison, both of which were developed in ancient times. Yeah, it seems like you've encountered talent. However, one of the damaging and mysterious medicinal powders in the body has been detoxified. There is only one type of poison in the body that can kill people, called tomorrow's soul-breaking powder. This poison is still in the body. If the poisoned person cannot detoxify it within 24 hours, they will vomit blood and die suddenly. Grandpa, are people nowadays so ruthless in their moves? A bomb needs to be poisoned, which means even if it doesn't explode, I can still poison myself, right? As she diagnosed herself, she kept muttering incessantly in her heart. She mainly feels quite depressed. Are people nowadays so cunning? In addition, she was puzzled by the diagnosis, so her beautiful eyebrows were almost twisted into fried dough twists, but she seems to have found the reason for the scattered pain and weakness all over her body, probably caused by poisoning. She couldn't help but curse a few more words in her heart. What kind of organization would that group of black suit people be? Yeah, they can find someone to develop such a damaged bomb. Surprisingly, I even thought of using ancient times poison powder. It's really insidious and ruthless. Yaya, it's best not to let me know who you are, otherwise if I go back, I will make it difficult for you to eat and leave. She can be recognized by the organization as an all-around top female special agent, which proves that she is not a vegetarian either. She not only demonstrates exceptional talent in various skills, but also achieves top-level medical skills in both traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine. She is also a highly skilled surgeon in the organization, and her skills can rival those of chief physicians in top-tier hospitals. She can be so outstanding, all thanks to her belief that she has always adhered to the principle of not overwhelming herself with many skills, as well as her extraordinary consciousness and 100% effort. She is in the organization, and every day in addition to the special training, whenever she has free time, she will use it to study. She spends a lot of time searching for relevant books and conducting in-depth learning exploration in unknown fields that she is interested in and has not been involved in. She sees history from modern times, and even some ancient books on medicine, poison, and witchcraft from ancient times. She can read them seriously. In terms of her interests, she will also study and research them seriously until she understands and learns them. Through such efforts and learning, she has obtained piles of various certificates, which have amazed her senior brothers and sisters in the organization several times. Well, the knowledge she gained through her hard work in the organization has come in handy when she encounters problems. So just now, she not only felt her pulse, but also accurately diagnosed what kind of poison it was, and clearly analyzed the toxin and corresponding detoxifying herbs. She must be able to prepare an antidote for herself, but she can't find the necessary medicinal herbs now, which makes it a bit difficult for a clever woman to cook without rice. However, she thought to herself that it was not yet 24 hours. When those people left, she would go find herbs to make antidotes. Now, she has a clear calculation in her heart, and she believes she can definitely save herself. Faced with this situation, she couldn't help but express some emotions in her heart. Her initial efforts in learning were not in vain, and she finally lived up to her efforts. She was able to apply what she had learned. Otherwise, if she were someone who doesn't understand anything now, it would be like waiting for the rhythm of death. Her life would soon be over, so she really appreciates her efforts back then. However, as she sighed in her heart, she didn't even know that she had entered the power space at this point, nor did she know that she had a super powerful power space bracelet, which made her future presence in the Western Yan Dynasty even more incredible. Oh, by the way, she didn't even realize that she had traveled to this strange world of the Western Yan Dynasty at the moment. Chapter 2. Power Space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It wasn't until the black-clad men rode away and didn't hear any sound outside that the woman dared to breathe lightly with peace of mind. However, as she slowly opened her tightly closed eyes, she felt a bright light, and her heart suddenly became alert. She quickly clenched her fist, immediately held her breath, and continued to pretend to be dead. After waiting for a moment, her sharp nerves did not notice any sound or abnormality. When she opened her eyes again, she found that the bright light she had just felt was a light. Previously, due to nervousness, she was worried that she would be discovered, so she never dared to move or make any noise. She just quietly closed her eyes and lay on the ground. She thought she was still lying on the ground 1 meter away from the pile of dead people. She thought she was lying on the ground pretending to be dead and successfully escaped. Now looking up carefully, she is not even 1 meter away from the pile of dead people. She struggled to slowly get up from the ground, leaned against a small cabinet, and then looked around at the environment. Looking at it, she was really stunned. She didn't know how she hid here from the wilderness. The place she is currently in is actually a room with smooth walls on all sides, and rows of storage cabinets are designed to stand against the wall. How does this look like a medicine storage room? Because she can smell the smell of medicine and disinfectant in this room. How could she be in such a room? Just as she was lost in thought, the 4 words, psychic space, suddenly flashed through her mind. She remembered, feeling anxious at the time, she thought of the psychic space developed by Dr. Lin. Is this supposed to be a space for supernatural abilities? Can it be said that the psychic space developed by the Supreme Academy of Science and Technology really exists? But how did she get into the psychic space herself? She has no connection to the psychic space project developed by the Supreme Academy of Science and Technology. She was only arranged by the organization to be Dr. Lin's bodyguard at the Supreme Academy of Science and Technology, which was just to carry out security work. Recalling, she remembers that day at the Supreme Academy of Science and Technology, there was a high-tech RD summary meeting. It is said that it is a discussion about what super high technology is, ability space, but specifically, ability space. She had no way of knowing what it was. And that was not something she should have been concerned about because the task assigned to her by the organization was to pay attention to Dr. Lin's safety. Because the conference is focused on the highest technology, the content of the conference is highly confidential, and non-core RD personnel are not allowed to enter the conference room. Therefore, during the conference, she can only watch outside the conference room. At that time, she was highly alert to the surrounding environment outside the conference room. In the middle of the meeting, there was suddenly a loud noise coming from the room. She keenly felt that something was wrong inside and quickly broke through the door to investigate the situation. The task assigned to her by the organization is to protect Dr. Lin, a senior core RD personnel, and she must ensure his safety. So, as soon as she rushed in, she came to Dr. Lin's side and made a few quick, accurate, and fierce moves, beating down several black suit men surrounding Dr. Lin. Due to the extremely urgent situation, she grabbed Dr. Lin and looked for an opportunity to rush towards the outside of the gate in an attempt to quickly and safely escort Dr. Lin away from here. As soon as she rushed into the conference room and confirmed that the situation was not right, she quickly transmitted assistance messages to the organization. However, before the aid recipients arrived, she still needed a pair of more than 10 people to distract and protect Dr. Lin. She kept Dr. Lin behind her all along. While she was dealing with several black suit men who were pestering her to kill, she didn't turn around for a moment and didn't expect someone to secretly shoot Dr. Lin. After all, it's difficult to defeat so many people with 2 fists. She angrily kicked away several black suit men who were fighting with her, and then turned around to carry Dr. Lin on her back. Dr. Lin grabbed her left hand and quietly inserted a circular object into it, pretending to lean against her. He hurriedly said in her ear, "You hurry and leave, don't worry about me." After Dr. Lin finished speaking, he pushed her away, but the task assigned to her by the organization was to protect Dr. Lin no matter what the situation was. So no matter what Dr. Lin said, she insisted on protecting him and walking together. At this moment, Dr. Lin was in a hurry or sweating profusely from a gunshot wound. He covered the wound with one hand and kept pushing her away desperately with the other, but she refused to leave. Lin Bo glared at Lin Bo's morale and said, "You said don't care about me, you go quickly, go quickly. Do you know that thing is more important than my life? You go quickly, take something with you, go quickly. Don't let it fall into the hands of those people in black suits." She knew that Dr. Lin had stuffed something into her hand, but she didn't know what it was. While she was still hesitating, Dr. Lin gave her another push and shouted in a low voice, "You hurry up and leave. They found out that the thing wasn't on me, and with my research ability, they wouldn't really want my life. You hurry up and take the thing away." Seeing more than a dozen people wearing black suits emerging from nowhere, these newly emerged black suit people, seeing the scene of the battle, knew that her strength was not to be underestimated, so they did not rush forward to fight. In addition, she supported the injured Dr. Lin, and the black suit people even more believed that they could not leave. Dr. Lin had a crucial gunshot wound in front of her, and had already shed a lot of blood. At this moment, his face turned pale and he became very weak. However, he still gritted his teeth and urged her to leave quickly. The voice in his mouth became weaker and weaker, "Let's go. Let's go. Don't worry about me. Leave with things. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. If we don't go, it won't be too late." Since the RD meeting began, she has been guarding outside the conference room. She doesn't know what happened in the conference room at that time. Judging from the current situation, it seems that some of the core R&D personnel within the Science and Technology Institute have defected for profit. She doesn't know what Dr. Lin gave her, but it must be a very important thing, otherwise Dr. Lin wouldn't have sacrificed his life to protect it. Dr. Lin kept urging her to quickly take the things away. In the end, she gritted her teeth and decided to follow Dr. Lin's advice. While preventing the black suit man's surprise attack, she carefully helped Dr. Lin to a corner where he could hide and lay him against the wall. Then she said to him, "Dr. Lin, you must hold on. I have already sent a distress message to the organization earlier, and the organization's assistance is about to arrive. I will listen to you and take this important thing away first, but you must also take care and hold on." Dr. Lin trembled his pale lips and murmured, "Let's go. Hurry up. No, don't worry about me. Remember, make sure to keep your things safe." She nodded firmly at Dr. Lin and rushed out alone, heading straight towards the gate. A group of black suit people saw that she was about to escape and wanted to rush over to block her path, but someone shouted, "Dr. Lin is here, there's no need to chase that woman." However, just as she rushed to the entrance, she had just stepped out of the conference room when someone shouted from behind, "It's not with Dr. Lin, hurry up. Don't let that woman leave." Then, someone shot at her in unison, and she quickly and swiftly dodged without being hit. She quickly rushed to the opposite wall, knowing that there was a river outside the wall. She could swim and jump down without dying. Just as she was about to flip over, she couldn't dodge for a moment and was shot in the right arm. Blood immediately flowed down her arm, but the situation was urgent and there was no time to find something to bandage the wound. In order to prevent the blood from flowing too quickly, she had to tightly press and cover the wound with her left hand. The blood soaked her palms and backs, dripping down her fingertips. The things that Dr. Lin had placed in her left hand for safekeeping were also covered in blood. She only has one belief now: she must take good care of what Dr. Lin has entrusted. She endured the pain of the gunshot wound in her arm and resolutely jumped up quickly, climbing up the wall, about to jump down. However, with a loud bang, someone threw a bomb at her. Damn it. Memories come to an end. Then, she appeared in the pile of dead people just now. Thinking of this, she suddenly thought. Is she dead? She didn't die, did she? She quickly covered her face with both hands, feeling the warmth. She was still alive. Hahaha. That bomb didn't kill her. I believe she must be someone with good fortune. However, why doesn't her injured arm hurt anymore? Isn't it the right arm that was injured? Then, she lifted her left hand to look. She found herself wearing a wristband on her left wrist. She never wears bracelets or bracelets as accessories, and she wonders how she got this bracelet on her wrist. Suddenly, she remembered the thing that Dr. Lin had given her in her hand. Perhaps the thing that Dr. Lin had asked her to keep safe was this bracelet, right? This is the bracelet that Dr. Lin even takes his life to protect. She remembers holding it tightly in her hand, but how did the bracelet automatically fit on her wrist? And she inexplicably entered the power space. Is it related to this bracelet? She stared blankly at the bracelet on her wrist, neither big nor small, just right, looking quite suitable. She turned the bracelet around again and carefully studied it, but couldn't see why. However, it seemed that once she put it on, she couldn't take it off because there was no place to open it. Moreover, no hidden buckles or buttons were found on the bracelet. The bracelet is pure silver, with only some simple carvings on its shiny surface. Although it looks simple, the manufacturing process is exquisite. Besides, no one can tell anything special about this bracelet no matter how they look. It's hard to imagine a connection between a bracelet and a psychic space, right? But if she's not in the psychic space now, where is she? If she was able to enter the psychic space, it wasn't because she had this bracelet. Then how did she get in? She pondered for a moment and suddenly realized that her brain was not enough at this moment. Since it is safe now, let's temporarily ignore these issues. She struggled to stand up and looked around the room, clutching the small cabinet. She wondered how to get out of this room, or how to operate this psychic space. Is there a manual? Just thinking about the manual, as a result, a manual appeared out of thin air in front of her, like an invisible screen. She quickly looked at it and realized that the bracelet had a super high-tech chip built-in, no wonder it couldn't be seen with the naked eye. To operate and use the power space, the user needs to contract blood with the bracelet, but the bracelet can only contract one user. After the contract is successful, the bracelet will automatically be worn by the signer, and the built-in chip will automatically activate all functions. Then the signer can send commands through their mind. As long as they have imagined what they want in their mind, the desired thing will appear in the space, and the items will be used up. If they are still needed, the items can be repeated and replenished infinitely. But only the contractor can control everything in the power space. This is simply not too perfect, too incredible, too magical. So, she finally understood why Dr. Lin worked so hard to protect this bracelet. It seems that when she covered the wound with her left hand, blood flowed onto the wristband, then she automatically contracted with the bracelet like that. Then, the bracelet automatically slipped onto her wrist. Then, now she is the only contractor of the bracelet. So she's the owner of this psychic space bracelet. This is fate, it should be fate. Thinking of Dr. Lin, she felt very guilty. Very self-blaming. Because she failed to protect Dr. Lin's safety, she stared blankly at the bracelet on her wrist, which belonged to Dr. Lin. She didn't protect Dr. Lin well, but instead was protected by the bracelet's power space developed by Dr. Lin. So Dr. Lin saved her. Thinking of these, her heart was filled with mixed feelings. She was stunned for a long time, let out a deep sigh, and deeply thanked Dr. Lin. I hope that after she leaves, the rescuers can arrive in time and save Dr. Lin's life, and she must also make herself recover as soon as possible, return to the organization as soon as possible, and have the organization or Dr. Lin find a way to help remove the bracelet so that she can return it to Dr. Lin. Considering this, perhaps after standing for a long time, her legs have become weak again, and her whole body is sore and weak, making it difficult to support her from standing for a long time. She thought to herself that it would be great if there were energy agents. As a result, just as my thoughts were finished, there was a red light shining on one of the drawer doors in the left storage cabinet, and then a bottle of energy agent appeared on the table in the room. Even if she had read the manual and knew she could control everything in the space with her mind, but when this mental operation was truly presented in front of her, she was still deeply shocked. She slowly moved over, picked up the energy potion on the table, and struggled to open the lid, drinking it all in one breath. Then I immediately felt my whole body warm and full of energy. It seems that the energy agent in this space is hundreds of times more effective than the energy agent in their organization. After drinking that bottle of energy potion, take a break. The repair of the body and the recovery of physical energy are very obvious. The body was originally sore all over, but now it feels less painful, the legs are not soft, and the strength is also recovering. There is no need to grab the table to support the body, and there is no feeling of shaking. She suddenly remembered the poison and internal injuries in her body, so she sent orders with her mind to Universal Detoxification Pill and 100 Salvation Internal Injury Pills. Then 2 drawers in the storage cabinet on the right shimmered with blue light, and a Universal Detoxification Pill and 100 Rescue Internal Injury Pill appeared on the table again. Without hesitation, she picked up the detoxification pill and took it first, followed by the internal injury pill. After about 2 minutes, she re-diagnosed her pulse. The poison of the broken soul powder was detoxified the next day, and the internal injuries were gradually recovering. Hahaha. The medicine in this space is really a miraculous pill. Hahaha, it's really non-toxic, harmless, and lightweight. It's great. Her happy laughter filled the entire drug storage room, and she happily applauded and circled. However, as the condition worsened and the illness began to heal, I immediately passed out and smelled a foul odor that made me feel nauseous. What's going on? She sniffed around the room with her nose, and finally smelled the foul odor emanating from her dirty body. The foul smell is really unbearable. She urgently hopes to have a place to wash up properly and then lie down and rest well. Her nerves were highly tense and rapidly relaxed, causing her head to feel a bit disoriented and unreal, giving her a feeling of lightness. She needs to be calm, she needs to be calm. She looked at the medication room again, which was filled with rows of medication cabinets. It was obvious that there could be no place to take a shower or rest. She glanced at the bracelet on her wrist and thought that she could imagine living in a small villa through her mind, right? So, she envisioned her ideal villa layout from the inside out, then, with a sudden movement of her mind, as if teleporting, she really arrived at a small 2-story villa. The entrance hallway is designed with a concealed shoe cabinet. When you enter the living room on the first floor inside, you can see the small garden in the yard outside through a large French window. The living room is equipped with a complete set of comfortable sofas. In front of the sofa, there is a carpet and a small tea table. In the corner, there is a floor-mounted air conditioner. There is a smart TV with a large screen on the wall. Below, there is a long TV cabinet along the wall. The style of the whole living room is simple and comfortable. On the left side of the living room is an open kitchen and a small dining room. The kitchen has a complete range of kitchen utensils, tableware, and smart appliances. In the small dining room, there is a dining table that can accommodate 4 people. There are several famous wines on the dining room wall cabinets, and there is also a 3-story smart refrigerator with opposite doors. When you open the refrigerator, everything inside is also complete. Looking at everything in front of her, she was shocked again. She couldn't wait to step up and down to the second floor to take a look. The bedroom upstairs was warm and comfortable, with a spacious and comfortable bed, blanket, and pillow, a vintage and elegant dressing table, hanging air conditioning, and a dimly lit desk lamp placed on the bedside table. Next to the bedroom is a spacious dressing room, which also has a dressing table, displaying skincare products and cosmetics from her favorite brands. There is also a tall mirror that can reflect on the whole body, and a row of neat wardrobes hanging with various styles of clothing from spring, summer, autumn, and winter, all of which are her favorite styles to wear. Further inside is the bathroom, which is designed with wet and dry compartments. The bathroom has a large bathtub, which can be used for a good bath. There are also some toiletries, washing machines, dryers, and so on. All the necessary items are available. After visiting this small villa, the entire layout, style, decoration, and matching are all in her ideal state. Such a perfect, ideal, and comfortable house, how can it not make people happy and excited? However, now she just wants to take a good bath, wash up well, and then have a comfortable sleep. Because her originally chaotic mind was shocked by the magical operation in space, she was really tired at this moment and urgently needed to rest and repair her brain. There is nothing more important than rest now. Let's wait for her to rest before savoring and thinking about everything. Chapter 3. Travel Facts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Perhaps in the psychic space, I feel safe and secure in my heart. Well, she didn't wake up until the next afternoon when she slept. She had never slept so soundly before. I slept so comfortably this night, and when I woke up, I felt refreshed and refreshed. This feeling is simply not too comfortable. After waking up, he stretched lazily and continued to lie on the bed, holding the blanket and staring at the ceiling in a daze. In fact, her mind is already beginning to recall and contemplate yesterday's events. Now her mind is extremely clear. Looking back on yesterday's experience, she is really full of doubts. Last night, in the pit of dead people, due to the dark sky, she couldn't see her fingers when reaching out. At that time, she didn't notice anything wrong with the clothes on her body in the bun on her head. In addition, with a body full of scattered soreness, weak and sore hands and feet, internal injuries and poisoning, and the fear of being chased by those black suit men, in that exhausted and highly tense state, although still conscious, the head has entered a chaotic and light floating state. Afterwards, he entered the psychic space and was shocked by the mental manipulation of the space. Then, not only was the head chaotic and light, but it also felt like it was about to turn into a square until she saw in the mirror in the bathroom her attire and appearance are different. I really feel like I'm going to hell. Did her confused mind affect her vision? She was actually wearing a tattered and dirty red dress, embroidered with gold thread embroidery patterns. The entire style of the dress was like the ancient costume drama Hanfu watched on TV, to be precise, it was the wedding red wedding dress of ancient costume. The shoes are also a pair of embroidered shoes with red inlaid pearls, but the upper is stained and dirty, and one of the shoes has no pearls inlaid on it. However, the shoes fit well and look quite delicate and beautiful when worn on the feet. My hair is fluffy and disheveled like a chicken coop, but I can still tell that it's combed in a bun like a costume drama, with a very ordinary hairpin inserted. As for her facial features, her face is pitch black and dirty, with blood stains and some kind of black and tingling dirt sticking to her mouth and face. Anyway, she has a big face and looks really dirty like a ghost. I can't bear to see this ghostly appearance anymore. She picked up the cleanser and immediately cleaned her face. After 1, 2, 3 times, I finally washed my face thoroughly, but... Yes, when she saw herself clearly in the mirror, her first impression was that she had a fresh face. Is this her? She looked at herself in the mirror in confusion, with fair skin like condensed fat, a melon seed face, curved eyebrows like the moon, dark and bright eyes, a high and straight Cheong nose, red lips and white teeth, and a snow-white and slender neck. She couldn't help but mutter to herself, her facial features are really nice. This face is really pretty. Even when she looked at herself in the mirror, she was a bit lost in thought, feeling that she looked a bit thin. Just, the more I look, the more I wonder. Is this really her? Although her brain is currently in a chaotic state, her consciousness is still there, her vision is not a problem, and she has not lost memory. She can't possibly admit herself wrong. She is very certain that her facial features are not like this. Although she wasn't ugly at first, it's clear that her self in the mirror doesn't look at all like her original self. Moreover, that self in the mirror is clearly not as cold and heroic as she used to be. Is this a fake face? So she pinched her face hard with her hand. It hurts so much. The pain made her take a cold breath, but she confirmed that the face she saw in the mirror was a real face. What's going on? This is not scientific, nor should it be. She remembered that her attire that day was clearly a competent set of spy uniforms, black leather boots, high ponytails, and a miniature pistol and dagger for self-defense hidden on her body, but now all these things are gone. What exactly is going on? What happened? She really can't figure out what's going on with all this. And the more she thought about it, her head began to ache faintly, like a sharp pain piercing her brain with a needle. The pain was immense and unbearable. So she had to pause these doubts last night, wash up well, and think about thinking about those doubts when she woke up from sleep. Now that I've woken up and my head has come to a clear state, but she still hasn't figured out how she changed her attire and appearance. The current self and the original self, judging from their appearance, body shape, and clothing, are simply two people, but consciousness, thoughts, memories, preferences, habits, and so on can all prove to be her true self. Is it possible that she was transformed by a bomb explosion? Is that a bomb that has been poisoned yet can make people look beautiful? Is the mirror in the supernatural space a magic mirror? Has magic? Impossible, absolutely impossible. She quickly shook her head and denied her absurd ideas. A bomb is a bomb. If it explodes, it either dies or is severely disabled. And magic mirrors and magic are stories only found in fairy tales. But just as she was racking her brain to think about those confusing questions, her head suddenly began to ache violently, as if millions of silver needles were fiercely inserted into her head. The pain in her head instantly felt as if it was about to crack open from the middle. It hurt so much. Pain. Death. What? What's going on? Her head was so painful that she broke out in cold sweat and her whole body trembled. She rolled her head on the bed, even hitting it with her head, trying to use this violent force to relieve the excruciating pain. It hurts so much. Who can save me? Master, help me, Master, help me. Woo 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 woo. Master. Extremely painful. After the severe pain in her head lasted for about 10 minutes, her voice was almost hoarse as she shouted, and the intense pain slowly subsided. However, her head was still in a tense state, as if there were strings in her head that were very tight and uncomfortable. Immediately after, my head seemed to have turned on a switch and the tense string relaxed. However, some intermittent images rushed into my mind, like memories of playing a movie. The Western Yan Dynasty. Xin Ziyi, the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion, is 16 years old. Her father is not in pain, her mother passed away early, and the cause of her death is unknown. Her stepmother, Su Shi, was the stepmother of Prime Minister Xin. The daughter of Su Shi, Xin Ziyi, was hailed as the pearl of the Prime Minister's mansion. Cheng Wang, Murong Li, was a literary and military strategist. He was the fifth prince of the Western Yan Dynasty and also the god of war praised by everyone in the Western Yan Dynasty. He wielded military power, and his abilities and strength absolutely overwhelmed the current crown prince. Later, he was secretly accused of having disabled legs and became a useless person. Xin Ziyi, although hailed as the pearl of the Prime Minister's mansion, her mother is a stepmother, so her identity is actually that of a commoner daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion. Before Prince Cheng Murong Li was disabled or turned into a useless person, she always showed her love for him and swore all day long that she wouldn't marry anyone other than Prince Cheng, and Prime Minister Xin also showed an extremely affectionate attitude towards his daughter, but in fact, for the sake of official luck, he licked his shameless face and ran to propose marriage to his daughter Xin Ziyi from the West along Emperor. As a result, as soon as he went to propose marriage to the Emperor of the West, he received news that Prince Murong Li had been assassinated, had his legs disabled, and had become a useless person. What was even more damaging was the Emperor of Xi'an, who had never thought of agreeing to Prime Minister Xin's proposal for marriage at the time. It was because he heard that Prince Cheng was injured, and later the imperial physician replied that Prince Cheng's legs were incurable and declared him disabled. He immediately drafted an edict and sent someone to deliver the marriage edict to Prime Minister Xin's mansion. Becoming a useless Prince Cheng, Xin Ziyi must not be willing to remarry, and Prime Minister Xin naturally did not want Xin Ziyi to marry another useless Prince Cheng. This did not provide any support for his official career, so, the three shameless people, Prime Minister Xin, Su Shi, and Xin Ziyi, came up with the idea of designing a play in which Xin Ziyi would marry into the Prince Cheng's mansion on her behalf, and administer her a love potion and deadly poison. Their plan is not only to succeed in their strategy, but also to have Xin Ziyi die. What's even more shameless is that they also managed to give Prince Cheng Murong Li that kind of insidious emotional powder, and increased the dosage of the medicine, with the aim of making sure that Xin Ziyi and Prince Cheng cooked ripe rice on the day of the remarriage. Their plan was successful, otherwise Xin Ziyi wouldn't have been tormented and suffered from scattered soreness, weak hands and feet, and torn and tattered clothes. However, after awakening to the effects of the medicine, Prince Cheng Murong Li discovered that the bride was not Xin Ziyi, whom the emperor had bestowed upon her. Prince Cheng felt humiliated. In a fit of anger, the fierce palm wind directly knocked Xin Ziyi to the ground, spitting out a large mouthful of dark red and black blood in her mouth. After spitting out a large pool of blood, she was like a kite with a broken string, wandering and fluttering, and suddenly landing on the ground. Then, no matter how the wind blew, there was no more movement, and she lay silently on the ground. Finally, feeling humiliated, Prince Cheng cruelly instructed his subordinates to take Xin Ziyi directly to the remote burial ground and throw her away. Finally, the situation in the dead pit last night was connected. The group of people in black last night were not the group of people in black suits chasing her. The woman that those black-clad men were looking for last night was the original owner. Now, from a different perspective, it's actually looking for her at this moment. Her mind is even more confused at this moment. She is simply bombarded with these crucial information, leaving her inside and out of focus. She never thought such a ridiculous thing would happen. She believes in science. But she really traveled. She can't go back. She can't imagine. All the current facts prove that she has traveled through is a fact. Her head has not only become square now, but also wooden. She held the blanket and sat back on the bed, seemingly unable to regain consciousness for a long time. After her thoughts had calmed down for a long time, she finally calmed down and continued to organize her thoughts. So, those black suit people actually used bombs to kill her back then, but her soul and the bracelet that Dr. Lin gave her were transported together to this Western Yan Dynasty, and then her soul attached to the body of the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion, Xin Ziyi. Then, she was reborn, and the true legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion had already died under the fierce palm of the Prince Qing. Xin Ziyi. They share the same name and surname, two people from different worlds and life trajectories, but unexpectedly encounter each other in such an incredible way. Her inner emotions churned again, and she didn't know if such an experience should be joyful or sad. The original owner was the legitimate daughter of the current Prime Minister of the Western Yan Dynasty, but she was not favored. In fact, she was similar to an orphan, and in modern times, she is an orphan who grew up in an organization, with organized cultivation and care. In fact, her life is not bad, but although the original owner's father didn't hurt and his mother passed away early, at least the original owner knew his own father and mother, and she had no idea where her parents were. It was the Secret Service organization that took her in and trained her, and even her name was given to her by the organization. However, although she doesn't have parents, she doesn't live a low self-esteem life. She lives in an organization and has always been a cheerful and happy person. She is diligent, studious, intelligent and clever, and everyone in the organization likes and takes care of her. Her senior brothers and sisters treat her like sisters, so she has always regarded the organization as her own home since childhood, and every person in the organization as her family. Especially the master who taught her special training treated her like an old father treated his daughter, teaching her reading and literacy, reasoning, and philosophy of life. The special training was both strict and caring for her, hoping for her success and worrying about her injury every time. The master said she was his most proud disciple. Every time I worry about her lack of nutrition, I deliberately leave the chicken legs for her. Every time I come back from a business trip, I bring her some small gifts. Now that she has been killed by a bomb, the relatives in her organization must be sad, right? Still waiting for her daughter. Like master, she couldn't help but murmur, "Master, I can't go back. Senior brothers and sisters, I miss you very much. Master, I can't go back. What should I do? Master, I won't see you again. Master, I feel a bit scared. Woo 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 woo. Woo 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 woo." She didn't know how long she had cried, until she was tired of crying. Her voice became hoarse, and her emotions were released before she slowly stopped crying. In fact, she is not someone who likes to hurt spring and autumn, but when she thinks of her loved ones, who are far away in the universe and can no longer see each other, her inner pain cannot help but surge. Her eyes also moisten, and tears fall down with a patter. In addition, traveling through such a magical and incredible event happened to her, causing two completely different life trajectories to intersect, which really made her feel a bit scared and also made it difficult for her to accept for a while. At this moment, although even 1,000 words cannot explain all the reasons behind it, her soul has all traveled through and come, and she can only accept such an incredible fact, since she is still alive, no matter where she is or what status she holds. Let her live well. In the rest of her life, she will definitely be reborn with the memories of the original owner and help fulfill the original owner's long-standing wish. Rebirth is when fate is once again in one's own hands. Being able to be reborn is a kind of luck. How fortunate are you to be reborn? Why not cherish it? After thinking about this, she no longer hesitated and found it difficult to accept, so, let's settle for it as soon as we come. Chapter 4. Familiarity with Space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xin Ziyi has been recuperating in the space for the past few days. The healing medicine and body-nourishing medicine in the space are very complete, so the original owner's body has recovered very well, and she also found that the medicine room in the space stored many rare and precious medicinal herbs, with ages ranging from hundreds to even thousands of years, such as Millennium Snow Lotus, Millennium Lingji, Millennium Ginseng, Millennium Blood Ginseng, and so on. Just browsing through the list of precious medicinal herbs from hundreds to thousands of years ago, she felt like she was counting small amounts of money in her dreams. So excited also, wasn't it, that the original owner's body was severely injured by Murong Li's rolling calf palm in the beginning. After entering the space, she took the Baijiu internal injury pill, and the internal injury was slowly recovering. Later, when she looked through the space manual, it introduced that there was a Holy Spirit spring in the space, and there was a hot spring pool built downstream of the Holy Spirit spring. The water in the hot spring pool came from the Holy Spirit spring. Drinking the Holy Spirit spring water has the effects of clearing heat and detoxifying, beautifying and nourishing the skin, repairing muscles, strengthening the body, and helping to recover from illness and heal injuries. Since there is such a great Holy Spirit spring hot spring pool in the space, we must go and experience it. Then, she went to soak in the hot spring of the Holy Spirit spring for half an hour every day, and miraculously, her internal injuries quickly recovered in just a few days. Surprisingly, all the internal injuries were healed. Also, the original owner's body had many deep and shallow bruises on her neck, arms, legs, chest, and back, which seemed to have been bitten by some dog. It was also after soaking in the Holy Spirit spring water in the hot spring pool that her skin now regained a smooth appearance like condensed fat. So now, whenever she thinks of this Holy Spirit spring, she feels like she has found a way to make a living in the Western Yan Dynasty, which is to sell Holy Spirit spring water. By packaging the Holy Spirit spring water and adding a loud gimmick, you should be able to earn a lot of money. Hahaha. Little money, it really makes people feel very happy just thinking about it. Moreover, the Holy Spirit spring water is used to irrigate plants and also helps them grow rapidly. For this experiment, she specifically went to the seed storage warehouse and selected some ice lily seeds. Then, she picked up a small bucket of Holy Spirit spring water and ran excitedly to the garden of the small villa to conduct the experiment. She just wants to know how incredible this Holy Spirit spring can be. She used a small hoe to dig several small pits, then sprinkled the seeds of the ice lily, covered them with a thin layer of soil, and watered them with water from the Holy Spirit spring. She stood there, watching helplessly as a few newly planted ice rosettes sprouted from the ground in just about 10 seconds. Then, at a speed visible to the naked eye, I watched as the few pineapple flowers grew rapidly. From tender buds rapidly growing into small seedlings, to roots and stems growing taller and thicker, to 1 leaf, 2 leaves, 3 leaves, to bearing flower buds, and finally blooming one after another, red and colorful ice apple flowers. It only takes 2.3 minutes from seed planting to the blooming of the ice apple flower. Xin Ziyi was so shocked by the incredible speed of planting that she almost couldn't come to her senses. She looked at the bright red ice apple blossoms that bloomed in just 2.3 minutes before planting in front of her. She patted her thigh and roared loudly. This is impossible. This is illogical. This is not scientific. This is really incredible. After roaring wildly, when he regained his senses, he found that his thigh had been slapped red. When she saw the pineapple flowers again, she remembered to quickly pick them and store them in the cold storage in a timely manner, because if the flowers of this plant are not picked in time after flowering, the flowers will quickly wither, and the withered ice lily will have no medicinal value. After the experiment of planting ice lily flowers, she felt that she had added another way to make money, which was to sell medicinal herbs. In ancient times, people used medicinal herbs to boil medicinal soup to treat diseases. The amount of medicinal herbs needed must be large, and the planting speed of space was so fast. When there were various medicinal herbs, they could be watered with Holy Spirit spring water. This way, the medicinal herbs could be harvested quickly, and then sold to medicinal herb shops. This way, you could easily make small money. Small money can be used as a stepping stone in any era. With small money, it will not be so difficult for oneself to establish a foothold in this Western dynasty in the future. Oh my, tapping on her smart little head, she happily composed and sang her own song, hahaha. La la la. Little money. I love you. I love you, I love you. Little money. Little money. La la la. After discovering several ways to make money yesterday, she plans to familiarize herself with the space again this day. She wants to see how many incredible operations still exist in the psychic space developed by Dr. Lin. She opened the space and carefully explained that it was divided into 7 major areas. Living area, commercial district, medical area, planting area, storage area, high-end area, and recycling area. In each large block, many small blocks are planned, and within each small block, there are already planned and designed ones, which can also be added by the contractor according to their own ideas. That is to say, the small villa she envisioned was added to the residential area within the living block. She clicked into the living area, which was divided into residential areas, parks, greenways, various sports training venues, and so on. Looking at the residential area again, I did see the small villa she had added according to her own plan the other day. Then, on the left side of the residential area is a planned park and greenway, where you can take a walk for a walk. On the right side of the residential area are various sports training centers planned according to standards, including runways, swimming, shooting, boxing, rock climbing, tennis, basketball, table tennis, and so on. After reading the life section, she clicked on the medical section, which was divided into drug room, physical examination room, laboratory, operating room, treatment room, and so on. In the medical block, she went in to take a look at every small area, especially the medication room, which was the place she had stayed in when she first entered the space. A familiar feeling came towards her, and each department was designed according to professional standards. Next, she clicked inside to look at the commercial district blocks, which were divided into various daily necessities, food, ready-to-wear clothing, accessories, fabrics, hardware and electrical appliances, and so on. The interior was designed into various communities, like a small supermarket, with rows of shelves and containers, neatly arranged in categories, and everything. Then she saw that there was a dedicated planting area. With great curiosity, she immediately clicked in to take a look. It has been discovered that the planting area is capable of large-scale cultivation of crops, fruits, vegetables, medicinal materials, and other plants, and the soil here is well researched and planted. The yield of the crops, fruits, vegetables, medicinal materials, and so on planted will definitely double and yield high. Upon seeing this, Xin Ziyi was already extremely excited and amazed, to the point of repeatedly smacking her tongue. He roared inwardly, "Dr. Lin, you are really YYDS." She continued to look at the large block behind with excitement. Next, she clicked in to look at the storage area. The storage area is divided into ordinary warehouses and cold storage areas, and the ordinary warehouse area is divided into many different communities. The cold storage area is also divided into many different communities, which can store various types of items and products separately. The division is really clear and detailed. Moreover, the storage in the storage area is fully automated and programmed. For example, yesterday, in order to conduct an experiment on the ice lily, she only needed to put the ice lily into the storage block. The storage block can automatically identify what the ice lily is, what its characteristics are, where it needs to be stored appropriately, how to store it, and so on. After recognition, the ice lily will be automatically transported to the corresponding community for storage. Is it clear that such a design can also exist in the space? Isn't it very meticulous? This is modernization, this is super high technology. Xin Ziyi's wife is really too excited, really, it's impossible to describe her current mood in words. Returning to the large block selection area, she saw the advanced area, which was a large block. From the literal perspective, she couldn't guess what was inside this block, but from the first few large blocks, she was amazed and even more curious about this advanced area, so she couldn't wait to click in and take a look. In the advanced block, there are small areas divided into categories for storing various cold weapons, advanced equipment, machines, weapons, explosives, and even luxury sports cars to choose from. Xin Ziyi was stunned when she saw the display in the high-end block. Her shocked heart was about to run down her throat. She really can't imagine that there are such super, and advanced things in the space. Now when you think about it, the small villa she thought she was very satisfied with and ideal was just a little fuss. This advanced block is really, super advanced. After reading the things in the high-end area, her excitement surged higher and higher. She felt that even in modern times, she had never seen such advanced or experienced such high-tech things with her own eyes. She covered her chest with her hand, her heart beating like thunder. She needed to slow down, she needed to calm down her excitement when previewing before. I saw the last recycling block and thought it should work like a recycling bin, just moving unwanted items to the recycling area to clean up. However, after reading the previous large block, she can no longer underestimate the recycling block literally. She deeply felt that Dr. Lin's research and development of every aspect of the psychic space was extremely laborious, requiring mental, physical, and mental effort. Therefore, every scientist is a hero and worthy of our respect and love. Xin Ziyi calmed down her good mood. She had a premonition that the design in the recycling block should be the true existence of this supernatural space. When she clicked in to take a look, she not only continued to be shocked and amazed, but also had a deep admiration for Dr. Lin. Dr. Lin is so great. Dr. Lin is so amazing. Dr. Lin is amazing. These admirable exclamations have been circulating in Xin Ziyi's heart. Recycling blocks is indeed the most important presence in the psychic space. The recycling area is an industrial chain that exists in the psychic space, which is also divided into many small areas, but each small area is actually an industrial chain. In the recycling block, there are industrial chains designed for production and research in various industries, and the industrial chains in each community are made using the most advanced technology research and development, so when the recycling area receives recycled items, it can automatically identify what the items are, and then automatically classify, split, decompose, or modulate them according to their characteristics, types, attributes, and so on. Some of them can be directly transported to the corresponding divided small area industrial chain after being classified, and then they can be directly transported over. Some materials that need to be decomposed into raw materials before being transported will also be automatically transported to the corresponding industrial chains in the divided small areas. Finally, all the industrial chain raw materials that are automatically transported to various small regions will be automatically produced to produce new required products. Moreover, the industrial chain of each small area in the recycling block can automatically cycle and produce various required products. Another point is that the super, and high-tech chips embedded in the power space bracelet are closely related to the 7 major blocks in the space: the living area, commercial district, medical area, planting area, storage area, and high-end area are closely related to the recycling area. That's why the psychic space can achieve what the contractor envisions by teleporting ideas. The inexhaustible source of all the items in the space lies in the industrial chain within the recycling block. The research and development structure of this superpower space is simply a scaled-down version of the real society with a complete industrial chain. Xin Ziyi was so shocked by the complete structure of space this time that she was thousands of times more shocked than the fact that she knew she had traveled through at that time. She truly understood this time why Dr. Lin said the power space bracelet was more important than his life. At this moment, her heart was not only shocked and excited, but also a little scared and panicked. Her hands and feet began to tremble. This psychic space is now in her hands. After all, this thing is not hers, nor should it be hers. However, by chance, she has become the only contractor of the space. She feels deeply guilty and uneasy inside during these days in space. Xin Ziyi seems to have spent every day in shock and amazement, which makes her feel very unreal. However, the things she faces every day do indeed exist, so she can only keep doing psychological construction for herself. In addition, these days, with the blessing of the miraculous medicine in the space, her body has been healed. Since we have accepted the fact that we have traveled to this dynasty along the west, we cannot stay in the power space all the time. We must go out and adapt to the real life of this dynasty. She plans to exercise as the first step. She needs to improve the physical fitness of the original owner and improve it as soon as possible, so that her various special agent skills can be integrated with the original owner's body, and when used, achieve the deadly effect of the move. Moreover, the dynasty she traveled to belonged to ancient times, and she felt that there was a greater emphasis on martial arts. However, as a newcomer to the Western Frontier Dynasty, she did not understand ancient martial arts, had no internal strength, and was not proficient in lightness skills. She did not exercise her body well or improve her physical fitness, and even if she had moves and skills, she could not use them. If she really encountered danger, her life could easily be in danger. Watching those ancient martial arts TV dramas, the moves of those martial arts masters are fast, accurate, and ruthless. She lacks internal strength and lightness skills, so she can only train her physical fitness well, enhance her shooting and fighting speed, strength, and accuracy, and improve her strength. If she encounters a crisis, she can also use moves fast, accurate, and ruthless, and in critical moments, she can definitely save her life. If it's really unbeatable, then use poison and medicine to assist the attack. So, she now gets up on time every day to go to the training center to exercise and insists on doing special training within the organization. After going to the training center every day, she then goes to the pharmacy to study drug production and medicine. Although there are many super unimaginable and extremely powerful weapons in the power space, she is very clear that this is an ancient era, and many of the weapons in the space are not suitable for this ancient era. Therefore, she does not want to casually use the weapons in the space. She thought it would be better to develop some self-defense weapons suitable for this ancient era, such as poison and medicine, so she decided to develop more useful poison and medicine. Before leaving space, she should be fully prepared for any unexpected needs. Chapter 5. Robot Class 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On that day, she was in the pharmacy preparing and developing her own 3-step powder medicine. Suddenly, from somewhere, a voice resembling that of a robot spoke one by one. Master, you've been in the space for so many days, why haven't you released me? Master, I am your capable assistant, I am a space elf. Xin Ziyi paused while preparing the medicinal powder. Ah. Space elf. Then she lifted her head and curiously looked around the medication room. After staying in the space for these days, she familiarized herself with the space once. She has experienced and accepted the various super magical and super incredible operations in space. Now it's said that there's a space elf, although she's not as shocked anymore, but she is still curious about what that space elf looks like. Is it a talking animal? Or plants? But she looked around for a while, even looking down under the table, and didn't see any elves. She said curiously and puzzled, Space elf, where are you? I've searched in the pharmacy all over, but I haven't seen you yet. Can you show yourself? At this point, the space elf has not been released yet, it is still in the program. The space elf heard her words and was speechless, then angrily said, I can't come out on my own. You are my master, you need to set and release it before I can come out. I've been waiting for you for many days now. If it weren't for me being able to transmit messages to find you, you wouldn't even remember the existence of my space elf, would you? Xin Ziyi quickly apologized, Well, I'm sorry, I really didn't know if I could have a space elf as an assistant. You know, I can still have a cute elf like you to accompany me. I really hope for it. You don't know about the existence of my space elf, but you didn't read the space manual carefully. After you familiarized yourself with the 7 major blocks of the space, I thought you would read the manual again, and then release my settings. However, ultimately, it was my space elf who paid the wrong amount, whimpering. Xin Ziyi heard the words of the space elf, clearly expressing her dissatisfaction. She feels that having a space elf like this that can communicate and exchange ideas is not bad, it's really cute, so she quickly coaxed and said, "Oh, alright, I'm sorry. I'll set it up immediately and release you right away. Wait a little longer, okay?" The space elf immediately became obedient and responded, "Okay, thank you, master." Xin Ziyi immediately put down the medicine powder that was being developed and mixed halfway, and went to the space settings page. Looking down, it turned out that there really was an option for space sprites. It seems that she was really negligent. She chose a set of light lake-colored skin for the space elf, then chose a cute and adorable girl voice for it, and finally gave it the nickname, Little One. After selecting the settings, she clicked Confirm Submit Release, and in the blink of an eye, Xiaoyi appeared in the medication room out of thin air. She didn't expect Xiaoyi to be a robot with a height of 1.6 meters. It walked like a normal person, quickly approaching Xin Ziyi, and then respectfully saluted, "Hello master, I am Xiaoyi. I am a super all-around robot developed by Dr. Lin. In the future, I will be your capable assistant in space. If you have any instructions, just let me help you complete them." Xin Ziyi clapped her hands happily and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "Hello, Xiaoyi, nice to meet you. I have traveled here and have been resting in the space these days. I haven't really experienced it outside yet, but there are constant surprises in this space every day. Xiaoyi, we'll be the best partners from now on, hahaha. I'm so happy." The young man said, "Master, it's nice to meet you too. Master, the surprises in this space are far beyond what you are currently familiar with. Dr. Lin has designed the space very comprehensively, powerful, and exquisite. You will have the opportunity to slowly discover and experience it in the future." Xin Ziyi happily said, "Really? Are there any other surprises? These days, I have also found that many super, and high-tech elements in this space are really not easy anymore. Hahaha. I am truly grateful now that Dr. Lin gave me such a super high-tech cheating space, hahaha." Xin Ziyi's happy laughter did not stop, but suddenly a sound drifted over from somewhere. Dr. Lin said, "I don't have it, and I don't want to give you the bracelet either. The bracelet space plan I developed was supposed to be handed over to Guijia, but the situation was urgent at the time. I didn't want to exhaust my brain and energy, and the things I worked hard to develop to fall into the hands of criminals. So, I had no choice but to give you the bracelet. Girl, please use it and cherish it. Don't be blinded by interests, you know." The transmission was over, and Xin Ziyi frowned in confusion. She seemed to have heard Dr. Lin's voice just now, which was distant and clear despite being open. She couldn't help but ask, "Hey, Xiaoyi, did you hear anything just now?" "Why did I hear Dr. Lin's voice just now?" "Master, it was indeed Dr. Lin's voice just now, but that was Dr. Lin's dying message. Apart from Dr. Lin, only you, Master, can control this power space with your mind." "Ah. What? A voice message before death? Xiaoyi, do you mean Dr. Lin couldn't be rescued?" "Master, Dr. Lin has not been rescued and has passed away. Xiaoyi, you and I are both in the space. How did you know the news of Dr. Lin's death?" "Master, because I am a robot, I am aware of the program adjustments and changes in space. Dr. Lin used his mind to modify and adjust the program of space before his death, and now the mind control of space is only limited to you, the owner. I have also been modified and adjusted by Dr. Lin's program, upgraded to a super versatile robot specifically designed to assist the owner, and Dr. Lin's mind control has been set to terminate, with the note, die. After listening to Xiaoyi's words, Xin Ziyi's eyes turned red in an instant, and tears streamed down her face. Woo 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 woo. Dr. Lin. Woo 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 woo. I'm sorry Dr. Lin, it's me. I didn't protect Dr. Lin well. Woo 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 woo. I'm sorry Dr. Lin. Woo 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 woo. I'm useless. Sob 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 sob. it's my lack of ability. I didn't complete the task assigned by the organization. Woo-woo. Woo-woo-woo-woo. I have let down the organization's trust in me. I feel so guilty. Woo-woo-woo-woo. It seems that Xiaoyi can also feel Xin Ziyi's sadness, and its robot eyes also show a look of sadness and tears. Master, don't be sad. The situation was critical at the time, and you did your best. I believe Dr. Lin and your organization won't blame you. Besides, Master, aren't you also considered dead? In modern times, you were killed by a bomb, but your soul traveled to this dynasty and was reborn. But in modern times, you are dead. Moreover, if it weren't for the Master carrying the space bracelet and crossing here, in case the space bracelet really falls into the hands of those criminals, there would be an unpredictable disaster. Upon hearing Xiao Yi's comforting words, Xin Ziyi choked up for a moment, but I don't know which point touched her sad tear gland again, and then she started crying. Woo-woo-woo-woo. Woo-woo-woo-woo. Master, don't cry anymore. Did I say something bad? Xin Ziyi choked up and said, you, woo-woo, you, woo-woo, you. Just said. When I died, woo-woo. I suddenly felt sad again. Xiaoyi thought to himself, I am a robot, how can I know so many twists and turns? Let's just say it directly. Xiaoyi paused for a moment, blinked, and then continued to comfort her. Master, stop crying. No matter how much sadness you have, it will pass. Since you have been reborn, you must look forward and live a wonderful life of yourself in this new world. After a series of persuasions from Xiaoyi, Xin Ziyi slowly stopped crying and choked up. Okay. Okay. I will. Strictly abide by. And remember Dr. Lin's last words. I won't be swayed by interests. Master, I believe you. Dr. Lin also believes in you. Otherwise, Dr. Lin could have destroyed the psychic space with his mind before his death. But Dr. Lin didn't do that, but left the space for you to control, proving that Dr. Lin also believes in you. Master, I will help you from now on. I will be the best partner for you. Xin Ziyi listened to Xiao Yi's words, and the panic and unease she had previously felt in her heart were finally released. She is not a greedy person. What she deserves will be accepted with peace of mind, and she will also strive for it. If it is not her, she will feel uneasy holding it. Now that she has listened to Xiao Yi's words, the anxiety and panic that have been suppressed in her heart can be let go. She thought to herself for a moment, and indeed, this space was developed by Dr. Lin. If Dr. Lin wanted to destroy the space, it would be easy, but Dr. Lin was willing to leave the space for her to control, proving that Dr. Lin believed in her. After thinking it through, Xin Ziyi directly rubbed her face a few times with her hand, wiped away the tears on her face, took a deep breath, and then said seriously and sincerely, Xiao Yi, thank you. The little one's robot face showed a cute and adorable smile, and then tilted the robot's head. Ask you, Master, you're welcome, we're good partners. Xin Ziyi also regained her happy mood, pursing her lips and smiling comfortably. Xiao Yi, in the future with you accompanying me, I don't have to be alone anymore. Master, I will always be with you from now on, and I can also help you with many things and chat with you. Really? That would be great. In the future, if you help me with things and chat with me, I will be very relaxed and not bored anymore. Master, yes, Xiaoyi is the best partner for the Master. After Xin Ziyi let go of her sad emotions, she was there with Xiaoyi. With just one word from you and one from me, we continued our endless conversation. The next day, Xin Ziyi went to the training center as usual to complete a series of specific training projects. After the training, she went back to the small villa for a brief rinse and chose a loose white t-shirt to wear with jeans. She wore a pair of comfortable and cute soft slippers on her feet, and then casually tied a ball head. The slender and beautiful lines on the back of her neck were all evident. Her simple, casual and casual outfit showed a lazy style, which was quite beautiful, plus, she is 1.68 meters tall, which is also the height of the original owner. It's strange to say that the original owner lacked nutrition and had a thin figure, but was able to grow to a height of 1.68 meters. However, after her recuperation and conditioning in the space, the original owner's physical condition has long been restored to health. In addition, she pays great attention to sports and exercise, so her curvy figure is quickly restored and maintained well. Her height and good figure are what people often say, a walking clothes hanger, so it looks great no matter how you dress. It's definitely enviable. She only uses some toner plus essence on her face, without powder. Her skin looks like cream, her eyes and eyebrows are curved, and her simple dress can also make people feel her radiance, which is pleasing to the eyes. She went from the second floor to the restaurant on the first floor, and today the waiter prepared breakfast for her with a glass of milk and a piece of sandwich. After finishing her meal, she simply tidied up the cups and dishes and went to the pharmacy to find Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi said that before she leaves the space, she will help her develop more and more effective defensive toxins and medicines, so that she can just focus on doing good training every day. She quickly walked to the medication room, and as soon as she pushed open the door, Xiao Yi sensed it and turned to greet her. "Hello master, yesterday you mentioned that 3 steps. I have developed these according to different time frames. Do you think they are enough?" Now with the help of Xiao Yi, Xin Ziyi does feel much more relaxed and doesn't need to use her own brains anymore. Just give her an explanation, and Xiao Yi will help her with everything she has done, and she will do it very well, meticulously, and efficiently. Xin Ziyi listened to what Xiao Yi said and happily ran up to take a look. She didn't know what to do, but was startled to see that Xiao Yi had developed several advanced versions of the 3-step Tiao medicinal powder according to different time effects. Developed by Xiao Yi, 3-step bumping. The time limit for bumping is 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. This 3 steps is not poison, it is a medicinal powder used to prank bad people. At most, it will make people feel embarrassed, uncomfortable, and will not harm their lives. Once a person who has taken this medicine powder takes 3 steps, they will start to bump, their face will continue to twitch, their teeth will be extremely sore, saliva will flow, and they will continue to dance and jump back and forth. If there is no cure, this bumpy, the state of the drug will continue until the specially designed therapeutic time. After the efficacy of the drug has expired, it will stop on its own. After stopping, the person will return to normal. Xin Ziyi looked at the small packets of medicinal powder wrapped in white paper, which were about to pile up into small mountains on the table. She really can't help but admire Dr. Lin's design of the robot Little One, and she loves this robot Little One even more. "Xiao Yi, I really like you so much. Your brain is so good at drawing analogies, hahaha. Master, I am a robot. I am very smart. With me around, I can handle things. Don't worry. Master, look here, there are also these medicinal powders. Master, these medicinal powders were also developed based on the ideas you mentioned, and then dispensed with medicine. Master, all the developed toxins and medicines, as well as the formulation methods, have been recorded in my records in the drug room. In the future, as long as you need them, you can easily take them out and use them with just one thought, and there will be an endless supply." Xin Ziyi walked over to take a look, and Xiao Yi even helped her develop advanced versions of medicinal powders such as Xiao powder, itching powder, jumping powder, forbidden powder, and diarrhea powder, all of which were developed according to different time limits. Xin Ziyi clapped her hands happily while watching, and even gave Xiao Yi thumbs up in admiration. Little one, you're so capable. It's my blessing to have you. Hahaha. By the way, Master, you should know that you don't need to carry all these medicinal powders with you, do you? Master, your mind controls it. Even if you leave the space and go outside, you can still control the space at any time. Master, all you need to do is teleport with your mind, and you can complete the task of retrieving items from afar. If you are worried that others may notice something unusual, then when you start thinking, you can reach into your sleeve and pretend to retrieve the item, making it less likely to be noticed by others. Xiaoyi, thank you for your science popularization. Your suggestion is very good, I must adopt it. Xin Ziyi said and reached out to touch Xiaoyi's robot head. The robot face of Xiaoyi once again showed a cute and loving expression. Master, you don't need to be polite. Master, I have also selected some ancient costumes from the Western Yan Dynasty for you in advance. You can't wear modern clothes outside anymore, it's not suitable. Xin Ziyi didn't expect Xiaoyi to be so careful. Not only did she think of it in advance, but she also helped her do things well. It was so considerate. Since having Xiaoyi in the space, she has been living too happily every day. Okay, let's go take a look now. Then, one person and one robot happily walked towards the ready-to-wear area in the commercial district. This ready-to-wear clothing area, including clothing, shoes, socks, bags, and hats, is all concentrated in this community, and it is very complete. There are adult, children's, men's, and women's clothing available, with a wide range of styles. Walking into the ready-to-wear clothing area, looking up, what catches your eye are rows of shelves and containers, all neatly arranged there. Looking around, all you can see are products, with a variety of styles and colors that are dazzling, making you look dazzling. Xin Ziyi and Xiaoyi walked around for a while, but the ready-to-wear clothing area was too large to be fully rotated for a while. She doesn't want to waste time wandering around here. Xiaoyi, let's go directly to see the clothes you have selected in advance. There are too many products here, and it's dazzling to see. Master, okay, I'll help you select the clothes in advance and put them on the mobile shelf here. Xin Ziyi followed the direction pointed by Xiaoyi and saw 3 movable clothing racks placed there. The racks were 2 meters long and hung with clothes that Xiaoyi had selected in advance for Xin Ziyi. Master, these are some dresses that I have selected for you in advance. Are you satisfied with them? Xin Ziyi happily ran over to the 3 mobile clothing racks. Wow, little one, you have such a good eye. These dresses are so beautiful, the color combinations look great. Xin Ziyi casually picked out a smoky-colored dress and gestured left and right on her body. The more she looked at it, the more satisfied she became. This dress is really beautiful, with a beautiful style and color. It feels like a fairy, I really like it. Master, there is a fitting room over there. Why don't you go try it on? If there are any inappropriate parts of the dress, I can help you modify it immediately. There is also a dressing room here. Xiaoyi, you are such a thoughtful butler. I really love you so much. Master, you're welcome. Xin Ziyi happily walked to the fitting room with the smoky and rosy-colored dress to try it on. After a while, she walked out of the fitting room again, only to see that her dress was not fully worn. As she pulled on her top, she complained, Xiaoyi, wearing this ancient dress is too complicated, layer by layer, I can't wear it. Xiaoyi, can you find a way to help make the dress one piece? It not only creates a layered sense of layers, but also looks like a dress. Just put it on without affecting the original style and aesthetics of the dress. Master, please wait a moment for me to come up with a solution and see how to make the necessary changes. Okay, then could you please help Xiaoyi? Xin Ziyi changed the still unfinished Yunxi colored dress and handed it over to Xiaoyi to see how to change it into a one-piece dress. These ancient costumes and dresses are very beautiful, but they are too cumbersome to wear. They are layered and tied here and there, and the way they are worn is too complicated. No wonder those precious women in ancient times had to be attended to by someone. Xiaoyi took the dress she had changed into, turned around, and headed towards the changing room. Xin Ziyi strolled around the ready-to-wear clothing area, admiring various other styles of clothing in a casual manner. She also likes beautiful and attractive clothes, but because their agents often have to perform tasks, the most she wears is agent clothing. Xin Ziyi strolled around there for a while, and Xiaoyi came over with a modified dress. Master, the dress has been modified. Can you see if this is the effect you want? Xin Ziyi took over the clothes and skirts to look at them. Originally, the water clothes, top, and skirt were separated, and they needed to be worn one by one in the same way. Now, Xiaoyi has changed the 3 separate clothes into a fake 3-piece set, which not only has a sense of layering, but also allows for easy wearing. For the sake of convenience, Xiaoyi has also made a hidden zipper on the waist side, and has successfully changed it into a one-piece dress. Now all you need to do is put on the fake 3-piece dress that has been modified, zip up the waist, put on water pants, and it will be a very slim and beautiful ancient dress. Finally, put on the outer garment, and it will look no different from the original dress, with no signs of modification at all. The dress is still the same beautiful and elegant. The key is that the modified dress style is simpler and more convenient than before, so there is no need to worry about not wearing it or not wearing it well anymore. Xin Ziyi was wearing the dress that Xiaoyi had helped to modify, happily spinning around in circles. Xiaoyi, you're absolutely amazing. The dress has been changed very well, and the size is just right when worn. Xiaoyi, could you please help me change these other dresses to this way of wearing them? It's more convenient, simple, and time-saving. Master, I will help you with this matter in a little while, so rest assured. Xin Ziyi happily ran over and spread out her hands to hug Xiaoyi. Xiaoyi, thank you. With you in the space to accompany me, I am truly worry-free. Xiaoyi, I love you so much. The robot face of Xiaoyi once again shows a cute and loving expression, proving that it is also very happy. Chapter 6. Preparation before going out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The young man seemed to have thought of something and asked, Master, when do you plan to go outside? Xin Ziyi pondered for a moment and said, well, let's go tomorrow. My body has already rested and everything I need to prepare is ready. Anyway, I will go out to see the world sooner or later. So, let's go out early and familiarize ourselves with the customs and traditions of the land along the Western Yan Dynasty. Upon hearing this, Xiaoyi nodded in agreement with its robot head. Master, in the future, you will have to integrate into the land of the Western Yan Dynasty to live. Have you planned how to start a new life? Xin Ziyi pondered again and said, I haven't figured out the specific plan yet. But after going out, you must first find a foothold, and then, after getting familiar with the environment, you need to find a job to do it. However, I just don't know what kind of work could be done in ancient times here. Or practicing medicine is also possible. Anyway, I am skilled in medical skills. Alternatively, let's take a look at what's good to do in the city along the west coast. It's also possible to do business, but it's just a matter of starting the capital. Little one nodded at its robot head. Master, as long as you have a rough plan in mind, you can decide based on the actual situation. At least you won't feel lost or confused. Master, I will help you modify all these selected dresses later. Master, my robot's battery is designed according to the standards just released from the factory. The newly released robot only has 50% of its battery. My battery is running out in the next few days, and I have to go to the charging compartment to store it tomorrow morning. If I don't store it anymore, I will run out of battery and won't be able to help my owner with work. Xin Ziyi listened curiously and asked, Xiaoyi, how long can you use your battery once you store it? Master, it takes me 24 hours to store electricity once. Based on my current robot level, after completing the storage, the battery can last for a week. After Xin Ziyi finished listening, she updated her novel. Oh. Do you still have levels for your robots? How do you divide them? Master, level is the upgrade of the program. My robot system will also be upgraded. These are all designed by Dr. Lin. He has set up the entire robot system and upgrades it every 6 months. With each upgrade, my skills will also improve. And with each upgrade, I will open up more new skills, which will help my master more. Wow, you can still evolve like this, Xiaoyi. I'm really looking forward to your system upgrade. So, Xiaoyi, after each upgrade, what new skills can you unlock? Master, I don't know for now. I will only know what new skills are available after the system upgrade is completed. Oh, I see. Alright, let's wait for 6 months to see. I'm really looking forward to it, hahaha. Master, let me tell you. After the system upgrade in 6 months, I will store electricity once, and the electricity level can last for 3 months. This level of electricity can be known in advance. That would be great, otherwise it would take 24 hours for you to charge once, and there won't be anyone to chat with me then. Xiaoyi, I feel like you are my family and my good friend. Now with you chatting and talking with me every day, and you helping me with things, I'm not alone here at all. Xiaoyi, I think you are the most precious treasure in this world. As Xin Ziyi spoke, she spread out her arms to embrace Xiaoyi. Although Xiaoyi was just a robot, Xin Ziyi was genuinely grateful. So, one person, one robot, it's a day of happy and endless conversations. The next day, Xin Ziyi also got up early on time. After completing a series of training at the training center, she returned to the small villa for a simple grooming. Then, she went down to the kitchen on the first floor to make breakfast. A few days ago, it was her who ordered good meals. When she returned from training, the waiter had already prepared the food for her and placed it on the dining table. This morning, Xiaoyi was going to the charging compartment to store electricity, so she didn't ask Xiaoyi to help prepare breakfast. Today, she went to the kitchen and made a beef noodle dish with poached eggs. In fact, her cooking skills are quite good. Her cooking skills were taught by her master during the Special Agent Organization, and her cooking skills were completely passed down by her master. Before, when she was alone in space, she used to make things and eat by herself. However, with the emergence of the super versatile robot Xiaoyi, she became lazier and more dependent on Xiaoyi. She was the only one in the restaurant today, appearing particularly quiet and aloof. She felt a bit uncomfortable now. Before, when she was eating, the young man would accompany her while eating and chatting, talking and laughing like family and friends. Thinking of Xiaoyi, she couldn't help but accelerate the speed of eating noodles and quickly finish the bowl of noodles. Then, after tidying up the kitchen briefly, she walked towards the charging compartment and planned to take a look at Xiaoyi. Although she can enter and exit the space at any time now, even if she goes outside, she can go into the space and see the little one anytime she wants. However, she just feels like she needs to go and see Xiaoyi before leaving the space. This feeling is like going on a long journey and having to say goodbye to her family. It's a kind of emotional expression of reluctance towards her family. Although Xiaoyi is just a robot, after spending these days with it, she feels that Xiaoyi's actions and thinking are similar to those of humans, and some problems are even more advanced and detailed than our human thinking. So, she felt that she treated her first child more like family and friends, chatting and accompanying each other. She felt that she had basically ignored the fact that Xiaoyi was a robot. Xiaoyi started storing electricity this morning, and it takes 24 hours to fully charge each time, and she also planned to go out and take a look today, to see what the West Coast city at the feet of this emperor looks like. After all, if nothing unexpected happens, she will spend the rest of her life reshaping her life in this Western dynasty. As Xin Ziyi walked, she was thinking about some future things and unknowingly arrived at the charging compartment. She stood in front of the charging compartment and saw Xiaoyi charging in the charging slot, with blue electric light waves flowing around Xiaoyi's robot. At this point, Xiaoyi automatically turns off all functions and is in a sleep state. It is necessary to wait for the battery to be fully charged before Xiaoyi will automatically restore all functions. She stood there quietly for a while, looking at the little one in the charging slot. Her mood and gaze seemed to be bidding farewell to family and friends, saying goodbye. After watching the first class, Xin Ziyi came out of the charging compartment and directly returned to the small villa in the residential area. She went up to the cloakroom on the second floor and began preparing to go out. Yesterday, Koichi Hiramoto had already helped her modify about 20 beautiful dresses and put them all in the dressing room of the small villa. These beautiful dresses are enough for her to wear well for a while. Later on, she thought of the poison in the original owner. And coupled with her current unfamiliarity with the West Along city and even the entire West Along dynasty, she was not at all familiar with it. if she appeared in the West Coast city dressed up beautifully and boldly like that, she would be more likely to attract attention. If recognized by the people of the Prime Minister's mansion, I don't know if it would cause any trouble or murder. Although she comes from a background as a secret agent and is not afraid of scheming, she is also very confident in her fighting skills. She should not have any problems with self-protection, but currently she is not familiar with Xiancheng. After thinking about it, it is better to do less than to do more. She thinks it is better to keep a low profile, so she has decided not to wear these beautiful clothes for the time being. Yesterday, I had to ask Xiao Yi to create several sets of coarse fabric dresses based on the beautiful styles of those dresses. She went to the cloakroom and, among the coarse cloth dresses, chose a khaki-colored coarse cloth dress to replace, as well as shoes and socks made of coarse cloth. She just doesn't know how to handle her hair, she doesn't know how to comb a traditional bun. After tossing and turning in front of the mirror, I didn't come up with a solution in the end, and the original owner's hair was also too long. It was left at the hip position. As the ancient said, the body, hair, and skin are not harmed by the parents, and filial piety begins, so the original owner's hair has been kept so long, probably never trimmed before. She doesn't even understand how the original owner used to take care of such long hair. As a time traveler with modern thinking, she finds it difficult to handle such long hair. For the convenience of combing and taking care of her hair in the future, she didn't hesitate to pick up scissors, just a few scissors down, and cut her hair short to the back position. Looking at the short cut hair in the mirror, she felt much better. In the future, combing and washing her hair will be easier and more convenient. Her hair was cut short, but when she thought of a traditional hairstyle bun, she was in trouble again. She was determined not to comb it. Finally, she decided to tie a more casual meatball head, slightly lower in the middle of the back of her head, so as not to appear too abrupt. She tied the bun head a bit loose and had a very casual feeling, and then paired it with a simple, ordinary white jade hairpin. The hairpin was also deliberately chosen to be ordinary and low-key, paired with the khaki-colored coarse cloth dress she was wearing. She swayed left and right in front of the mirror and looked at it. She felt that the casual bun head matched well with the ancient dress, and didn't feel any discordance. She has decided that in the future, her hair will be tied into a loose and casual bun like this, which is not only beautiful but also versatile. The key is that it will match well with historical clothing and dresses. She tilted a satisfied smile into the mirror and muttered to herself, "Well, it's really beautiful." Then, she sat back in front of the dressing table and took out a set of bottles and jars, which were the pigments that Xiao Yi had specially developed for her last night. The pigment developed by Xiao Yi is absolutely waterproof, scratch-resistant, and anti-fading. It has no allergies or side effects when used on the face. If you don't use a special makeup remover to remove makeup, the pigment can last on the face for up to 3 months. However, she didn't use this paint to make herself beautiful, but to make herself look ugly, because the original owner is after all the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion. If she goes out directly under the original owner's guise, she is likely to be recognized soon. I don't know if there will be any fatal consequences in the future, so, before she gets to know each other well in the western coastal city, she doesn't want people to recognize her so early. It's also for the sake of personal safety. So, she decided to paint her own makeup, not only to look low-key in her clothes and dress, but also to paint herself as an ugly woman. After careful color adjustment, application, and depiction, she painted the entire face, including the originally fair and slender neck, arms, and fingers, into a earthy yellow color. After applying the color, there is a grainy feeling of rough skin, and finally some weathered wrinkles are painted. At first glance, it looks like a suffering woman who has experienced wind, sun, and rain. Finally, on his right cheek, he drew a half-palm-sized pig liver-colored birthmark. That birthmark is as realistic as it can be, combined with the paint she applied to her face that looks very rough. The whole person looks as ugly as they look. In short, it's hard to tell what her original appearance looks like. She walked so generously on the road that no one would think of her, and no one could recognize her as the legitimate young lady of the Prime Minister's mansion. Xin Ziyi looked at herself in the mirror, extremely satisfied with her masterpiece, and nodded repeatedly to praise her. "I truly deserve to be a talent like me. My drawing skills are really excellent." and this is truly a first-class level. Hahaha. If Xiaoyi were here, its robot face would show a white eye as a gift to its owner. After tidying up, she took out the things left by the original owner, which were actually just a purse, a very ordinary hairpin, and a double jade pendant. The jade pendant is made of white jade, with a warm and moist color. There are hollow carvings in some parts, making it a pair of exquisitely carved pishio. The jade pendant, when combined, looks like a circular shape. When separated, it becomes a beautifully carved pishio jade pendant that is divided in half into two identical pieces. Xin Ziyi picked it up and looked at it twice, only feeling that the jade pendant was carved quite well. These jade pendants should be of superior quality in the Western Yan Dynasty, and he felt that the price should not be cheap. Her interest in jade was average, so she only looked at it for a moment without paying close attention. She put the jade pendant in a box on the dressing table and also put the ordinary hairpin together. After all, it was a relic of the original owner, and she had to help keep it safe. She only carried the purse left by the original owner with her, which contained a 100 taels of silver note and some broken silver. Although she has space now and doesn't have to worry about food, clothing, and housing, there is always a difference between space and the real society, and in the future, her daily time will be more spent outside. Currently, with the silver left by the original owner, it should be enough for her to meet some eyebrow-burning needs when she first arrives here. Finally, she casually picked up a simple backpack made of suede, which was also made by Xiaoyi yesterday. Use a rope to pass through the backpack mouth, leaving a piece of rope at each end. Simply gently pull the rope at both ends to tighten the backpack mouth. If you open it, simply use your hand to gently pull left and right at the position of the tightened backpack mouth to open it, then sew on 2 finger-wide cloth strips to make a backpack, which is simple, understated, and not exaggerated. The main function is to act as a cover, making it more convenient to retrieve items from space. In the future, when picking things up from outside, if everything is done on the cuffs of a dress, people will eventually discover something unusual when picking up too much. After all, the cuffs of a dress cannot hide so much. Therefore, following the advice of the younger generation, using a backpack will be more convenient. Xin Ziyi packed her backpack and checked her well-adjusted makeup. Once everything is ready, let's officially go out and see the world. Chapter 7. Mistakenly Entering Yunxi Mountain. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 8. Yunxi 3 Monsters. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Xin Ziyi had been circling in the formation before, as if something was always blocking his sight. He always felt that there should be a bright scene ahead, but he couldn't see clearly, presenting a hazy scene. After the eyes of the current formation were destroyed, Xin Ziyi walked out of the formation and smoothly entered the mountains. Her vision suddenly became clear, and she finally saw the mountains that looked like dragons. Below the mountain range is a land surface resembling a treasure trove. The mountain range extends around the land in the shape of a treasure bowl, like a giant dragon coiled on the edge of the treasure bowl. Under the shining sunlight, it lies peacefully, guarding the spiritual energy of this land surface. On the outskirts of the mountain range is a towering dense forest, like a natural barrier that surrounds and protects the mountain range, making it difficult for people to peek. Xin Ziyi entered the land in the shape of a treasure bowl, feeling like he was in a big bowl. Looking up, he could only see the sky and earth above the bowl. She feels that the air here is fresh and natural, making people breathe comfortably, and the whole body feels fresh and refreshing, making people truly feel that the oxygen ion composition here is extremely high. This shallow feeling has filled her with joy, and she clearly likes the natural scenery here. She slowly toured around this land that looked like a treasure trove. Entering the lush forest where she grew, she felt like a cute elf with wings in an animated film, happily shuttling through the forest. She occasionally stood under the tree, looking up at the trees with her head tilted, trying to measure the height of these straight trees with her gaze. And there are the colorful flowers and willows that reflect the mountains everywhere, as well as the green bamboo forests by the river, which reflect even more in the river, highlighting the immortal beauty of green mountains and water. she felt like she had entered a fairyland in Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales, waving her wings and freely flying back and forth to play in the fairyland, and there are also the birds singing and the fragrance of flowers, colorful butterflies dancing in the flower bushes. This wonderful atmosphere makes people unable to resist stopping to listen and appreciate, and also deeply feels the beauty of nature and the vitality of life. This place is like a paradise in the world. If we build a small villa here and live in the green mountains, green waters, and the chirping of birds and flowers every day, how carefree and comfortable it would be. It would also extend our lifespan for many more years. In such a dragon-like mountain range, with this natural beauty, even if there are no gold and silver mines here, she also wants to take this place as her own. She loves this place so much, she seemed to understand that the poison gas carefully arranged in the outer dense forest, as well as the person who arranged the formation deep in the forest, were all aimed at blocking the disturbance and destruction from the outside world. Xin Ziyi was still admiring the beautiful scenery and sighing when suddenly two soft and fluffy animals leaped out of her feet, jumping quickly by. She lowered her eyes and saw two gray-white fluffy rabbit figures darting into the grass across from her. Oh, it turns out there are two wild rabbits, and they are also very fat and beautiful. It seems that not only are the mountains, water, and scenery here good, but the wild rabbits are also growing so fat here. Seeing those two plump wild rabbits reminded her of when she used to organize. They often had to go to the primitive mountains and forests outdoors for special training. Sometimes when her master caught a wild rabbit, he would clean it up by the river and make a barbecue for them to eat. Looking back now, the barbecue flavor could still make her tongue twitch, but it was so delicious. The thought of barbecue made Xin Ziyi feel a bit hungry, so she decided to grab two wild rabbits and grill them to satisfy her craving. She is an action-oriented person who does whatever she says. She rolls up her sleeves and goes to the bamboo forest to pick up a small bamboo. She takes out a sharp dagger and splits the bamboo in half, then sharpens one end of the bamboo like an arrow. Previously, those two wild rabbits ran into the grass in the forest. As they walked slowly in the grass would surge along. She had just noticed the direction in which they were moving and hiding. She held two pieces of bamboo with sharp edges and deliberately made some noises as she walked over, with the aim of causing the rabbits to move. When the rabbits sensed danger, they would stay still and wait for a while. When they felt safe, they would slowly start moving, and as they moved, the grass would also surge with them. After making the sound, Xin Ziyi stopped and, with her keen hearing and sharp eyes, quietly observed and argued in place where the grass would make a sound. After waiting for a while, Jing suddenly took the bamboo tip in her hand and quickly flew out one after another. Only listen, whoosh, with two sounds. A rabbit made a struggling sound not far away. Xin Ziyi quickly walked over and pushed aside the grass, only to see the two wild rabbits both struggling in the grass with bamboo spikes. She stepped forward, pulled out the bamboo tip, picked up two wild rabbits with each hand, and apologized to them. Oh, little bunny, Xin, I'm hungry, so I can only grill you guys to eat. Little rabbit, I know you're cute, but I'm too hungry. Little rabbit, you must forgive me, ha. Little rabbits, I'm sorry. After apologizing, Xin Ziyi took two wild rabbits to the river to deal with it. She took care of the rabbit, shaved two bamboo sticks, and then strung the rabbit with the shaved bamboo sticks. He brought some dry firewood, dry leaves, and dry bamboo branches, took out a lighter from his backpack, and quickly set the fire on fire. When the fire was almost done, she slowly grilled the two rabbits on top. When the rabbit was baking there, she wasn't idle either. Just now, while picking up dry firewood in the forest, she noticed that there were some herbs growing in the forest towards the inside. She went over and dug up some herbs such as blue lingqiao, qianzhenlong, tailed swallow beard, sushin vine, dragon spirit grass, and so on. Although there are many medicinal herbs in the space, and there are also reserves of many medicinal species, some rare herbs used in ancient martial medicine and poison techniques are not as complete in the space, so she plans to dig and move them to the space for planting. Anyway, the herbs in the forest should be wild, because those herbs are scattered and growing, one in the east and one in the west. it doesn't seem like they are specially planted by someone. It should be that the seeds of herbs mature and naturally fall off, some of which are blown by the wind and then transported to other places, and then fall down to take root, sprout and grow. So she dug up some rare wild herbs and moved them to the space for planting, which is not considered stealing. Because normal human medicinal herbs are not scattered and planted randomly, right? Normal human herbs are planted one by one, so that the herbs can be easily taken care of. The herbs she plans to transplant to the space for planting will be watered with Holy Spirit spring water. The herbs not only grow well, but also grow rapidly, and their efficacy will definitely be doubled compared to ordinary planting. She put the herbs she dug into the space from her backpack and left a message for Xiaoyi. She asked Xiaoyi to charge up the electricity and help take the herbs to the planting area for planting. The harvest will be saved for seeds, and a large amount of cultivation and planting can also be carried out. Just now she also saw a purple blood vine, which is a highly toxic but excellent medicinal herb and medicinal guide. It is a very, very precious and rare vine. The flowers of purple blood vine wood are mysterious purple-black, and their flowers can be used for medicine. The branches are broken, and there is a red serum like blood inside the branches. The serum can be used for poisoning or as a medicinal guide, but the ratio must be very accurate, otherwise the medicinal guide will become a poison. As the rabbit meat was almost cooked, she planned to wait until she finished eating it and take a small saw to cut off a purple blood vine branch to cultivate and plant in the space. The rabbit meat has been roasted on both sides are golden and sizzling with oil. The roasting temperature is well controlled, and the rabbit meat is definitely roasted on the outside and tender on the inside. The meat aroma is scattered, and when you smell the meat aroma, you can't help but swallow saliva. It's so fragrant. She flipped through the rabbit meat and took out the cumin powder and chili powder from the space through her backpack. These two are the sole ingredients of barbecue and cannot be omitted. She sprinkled cumin powder and chili powder on both roasted rabbit meat. As soon as two sole ingredients were sprinkled, oh my god, the aroma of barbecue instantly became authentic. It's so fragrant that she can't help but swallow her saliva. She put the used cumin powder and chili powder into her backpack and was about to start savoring the fragrant roasted rabbit meat she had personally roasted. Suddenly, a figure flashed past in front of me, like a gust of wind rushing past. She was still looking at the rapidly passing figure, sighing in her heart, out of reach of the dust. At the same time, he sighed and said, that person's martial arts must be very profound, and his internal strength must be very deep. I envy him. However, she turned around and saw that the two fragrant roasted rabbit meat that had just been placed in front of her were missing. Xin Ziyi rubbed herself up and shouted angrily, where's my roasted rabbit meat? Who is so wicked? Who stole the two freshly roasted rabbit meat from me? She was very certain that the person who stole her roasted rabbit meat was the one who just swished past her. She walked angrily towards the direction where the figure had just passed by. The two roasted rabbit meat she just baked were obviously stolen by a man in a blue robe, because at this moment, a man in a blue robe was openly carrying the two roasted rabbit meat, swaggering to a crooked-necked tree, then lightly jumping and flying up the tree. Xin Ziyi walked angrily to the crooked-necked tree, looking up. There were three middle-aged men on the tree who looked around 40 years old. The man, wearing a green robe, tall and robust, with a sword-like eyebrow and a smile on his face. The impression given is that this person has a cheerful and approachable personality. A man in a white robe, with handsome eyebrows and eyes, a tall and straight nose, and a head of long hair that is not tied or tied. The breeze blows, and his clothes and long hair are as graceful as the wind. The feeling it gives is that this person has a handsome appearance and a graceful young master. The man in a grey robe was tall and straight, with a loose figure. His smiling eyes seemed to have no light, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, always carrying a faint smile. The feeling it gives is that this person is mysterious and profound, seemingly possessing an inner charm that is irresistible. Three middle-aged men sat on a crooked-neck tree, happily sharing the rabbit meat she had roasted. They each have a wine gourd in their hands. Tearing off a piece of roasted rabbit meat with one hand and delivering it to their mouths, a sip of meat and a sip of wine, all three of them were enjoying the delicious roasted rabbit meat with a calm and contented demeanor. It was truly beautiful, completely ignoring the existence of Xin Ziyi. It's so annoying. This can't be tolerated. Xin Ziyi, full of explosive potential, quickly moved to the crooked neck tree and leaped lightly, aim at the man in the green robe and pull him down with all your might, then quickly, accurately, and fiercely attack the man in the green robe, because he stole the roasted rabbit meat, and the main culprit was him. He chose to pull him down to take action. Xin Ziyi thought to herself, I can't kill you, but I can also have a good sparring experience. Look at the results of her double training in space during this period. With these thoughts in mind, Xin Ziyi unleashed all his strength, quickly and decisively greeting the opponent with every move, using ruthless and precise force. Originally, the man in a blue robe was eating rabbit meat while drinking fine wine, but he dodged and dodged her moves. After a few moves, Xin Ziyi launched even more fierce moves. The man in the green robe had to put down the delicious rabbit meat in his hand, then casually hung the wine gourd from his waist and carefully took Xin Ziyi's moves from behind. After connecting a few moves, the man in the green robe found that Xin Ziyi had no internal power, but her martial arts moves were very strange. Not only was she fast, accurate, and ruthless, but her moves were all direct attacks on the key points. After taking a few more moves from Xin Ziyi, the man in the green robe made a virtual shake move, dodged the attack, and then used his lightness skills to fly back to the crooked neck tree. Xin Ziyi used modern combat and ancient martial arts for the first time, and she was quite satisfied with it. She has been using more than 10 moves with a man in a blue robe and still wants to continue using them. As a result, the man in the green robe made a feint move and flew away using his lightness skills. Xin Ziyi is so angry. Yeah, this is bullying her. She doesn't have internal strength and doesn't know lightness skills. The man in the green robe flew back to the tree and sat down, first busy tearing off a rabbit leg. I opened my mouth and took a bite of rabbit leg meat. My mouth was full of oil, and I happily chewed on the rabbit meat, starting to enjoy the delicious food leisurely again, as if nothing had happened just now. And the men in white and gray robes are also busy gnawing on rabbit meat. His mouth was filled with meat, and his cheeks moved and chewed on the meat in his mouth. Seeing Xin Ziyi walking over, he only glanced briefly at her. No one spoke, and their gaze glanced back at the delicious rabbit meat in their hand. It's completely like two sets of busy eating meat. Please don't disturb us, we won't fight you. Xin Ziyi was so depressed when she saw this scene. She baked those two rabbit meat. She baked it. She hasn't even tasted it yet. And those three middle-aged men only focused on indulging in meat and completely ignored her existence. Can you bear this anger? No, I can't bear it. She angrily approached the crooked neck tree again, with her hands on her hips and her voice raised a few notes. 3 uncles, your combined age is several rounds older than mine, right? How could you steal my freshly roasted rabbit meat and just start eating it? Have you asked me? I haven't even tasted it yet. You guys are going too far. The man in the white robe happened to swallow a mouthful of meat, took a sip of wine with a gourd, and after finishing it, he even smacked his mouth twice. Then he picked up a rabbit leg and was about to continue gnawing. Upon hearing Xin Ziyi's words, the man in a white robe turned his head to look at her and said, "Ugly girl, you stole the precious herbs I planted and didn't ask me. We ate the rabbit meat you grilled. Isn't that just a perfect match? Ugly girl, do you know how to calculate? How can this be considered excessive? It's not excessive at all. If it was you ugly girl who went too far first. What kind of nonsense is this? Is it clear that the 3 men stole the rabbit meat she baked and falsely accused her of poaching herbs? This is really unreasonable. She dug wild herbs, okay. She didn't steal any herbs." Xin Ziyi crossed her waist with both hands and said with a sullen expression on her face, "Uncle in the white robe, what nonsense are you talking about? I don't even know where your herb garden is. How could I steal the herbs you planted? As soon as she finished speaking, the man in the grey robe swallowed the meat he had chewed in his mouth and took over the conversation, whispering softly, "Girl, don't be angry, but the precious herbs you just dug in the woods over there were indeed planted by him. He was like that, planting things as he pleased. Wherever he went, whenever he thought of planting some herbs, he took out the seeds and waved them casually. Wherever the seeds fell, he planted them. So, the herbs that can be seen everywhere in the entire mountain range here are all planted by the seeds he sowed, and there really are no precious wild herbs in this mountain range." After listening, Xin Ziyi looked dumbfounded and couldn't understand. With a casual wave, did he think he was planting rice seedlings? Planting rice seedlings is not just a matter of a casual wave. Can planting precious herbs be so casual? But that's also because Uncle White Robe planted herbs too casually. I thought they were wild, so I dug a few. But I'm innocent of those who don't know, but you all knew that I cooked rabbit meat and stole it from my eyes to eat. Your behavior is truly in line with the principle of stealing without asking oneself. The man in the grey robe carefully took another bite of the rabbit meat and slowly chewed it. After listening to Xin Ziyi finish speaking and slowly swallowing the rabbit meat, he finally spoke up, "Oh, this way, then you destroyed the formation I set up in order to break into this mountain range. This is an unacceptable behavior for you, isn't it? It's not an exaggeration to use the 2 rabbit meat you roasted as compensation for destroying the formation, is it? Girl, what do you think?" Xin Ziyi felt a little guilty after hearing this. She really wanted to go into the mountains to explore the truth, so she used modern technology to destroy the array, but she still choked her neck and refused to follow her airway. "Yes, that formation was destroyed by me. That's because your formation has trapped me. I can only destroy it, otherwise I won't be able to leave. Besides, this mountain range is not yours. Why are you using your formation method to prevent others from entering?" After Xin Ziyi finished speaking, the man in the green robe had already wiped out the rabbit meat on his hand, then, holding a wine gourd, he tilted his head and gulped down 2 sips of wine. Then, he lifted his sleeve and wiped away the alcohol and oil stains sticking to his mouth. After hearing what Xin Ziyi said, he was hearty, hahaha, laughing loudly, girl, your roasted rabbit meat is so delicious and fragrant. How could you roast a rabbit so delicious?" Upon hearing the cheerful laughter, Xin Ziyi looked at the man in the green robe in confusion and muttered inwardly, "Uncle, we're talking about formations. Why did you just say you're grilling rabbit meat? Are you going to discuss how to grill meat with me? Speaking of grilled rabbit meat, I haven't tasted it even after it's cooked. After you finish it, you still show off to me here. Of course, I know the rabbit meat I baked is delicious. That's the barbecue method taught by my master." But after Xin Ziyi finished slandering in her heart, she politely replied, "Uncle Qingyi, the most important thing for grilling meat is to control the heat and time, followed by the combination of ingredients. This way, the grilled meat will definitely be delicious." After listening attentively, the man in the blue robe concluded with his mouth wide open, "Oh, I see, but it's probably difficult to control the temperature and time. Besides, I don't have the ingredients for your barbecue either. Forget it, I can't learn it, hahaha." At this moment, Xin Ziyi's forehead had 3 black lines, but she felt that the man in the blue robe should be a cheerful person. The man in the green robe concluded that he didn't know how to barbecue, and then continued, "Girl, you don't know. This mountain range really belongs to our family. You don't know about the 3 monsters in Yunxi, do you? Hahaha." Upon hearing this, Xin Ziyi was amazed in her heart and exclaimed, "I really don't know what's strange or not, but she knows that she met a wealthy family on her first day out. This whole mountain range is amazing. She has visited it since she first came in. It's a beautiful place with beautiful mountains, water, and scenery. The man in the green robe continued, the three of us are guarding here just to prevent outsiders from entering and causing damage. And you're really amazing, you can accidentally break in, hahaha. Upon hearing this, Xin Ziyi muttered in her heart. What a mistake, just this mountain range. I can come in as I please, and there are plenty of means to easily and casually come in, okay. But on the surface, she still put on an incredible look and said, wow, this big mountain range belongs to your family. Are you a big family here? The man in the green robe heard another burst of laughter and laughter. This mountain range is the ancestral spiritual land of our family, which has been guarded by people for generations and cannot be destroyed by outsiders. Xin Ziyi didn't know what ancestral spiritual land it was. She thought it should be a term like a feng shui treasure land. What she is more curious about is what the Yunxi three monsters are. Or what does it mean? Uncle Qingyi, what are the three Yunxi monsters you just mentioned? Which three monsters do you mean? The man in the blue robe pointed to himself with his fingers, and then pointed to the man in the grey robe and the man in the white robe next to him. Xin Ziyi was surprised this time. She opened her mouth wide and let out a surprised voice, saying, What? What? Yunxi Sanguai refers to your three uncles. Are these three uncles Sanguai? How could that be? But I see that you are elegant, extraordinary in temperament, and handsome in appearance. What's strange? It's not strange at all. I think all three uncles are quite normal. Once Xin Ziyi praises people, he is not ambiguous at all. Anyway, praise is right. Everyone loves to hear good words. Well, the man in the green robe listened and laughed heartily. The grey-robed man's smile curved slightly at the corner of his mouth, deepening. The man in the white robe flicked his long hair with his hand, slowly shaking his folding fan with the other hand, creating a modern image of a handsome young master who could quite hold on. Xin Ziyi paused for a moment, then said as if he had comprehended some truth, I know now. The monster of the three monsters in Yunxi refers to the meaning. That you are experts in the hidden world, right? But why is it called Yunxi? What is the name of Yunxi? The man in the grey robe had a faint smile at the corner of his mouth and spoke slowly and calmly, Girl, the mountain you broke into is Yunxi Mountain. The three of us are the people on Yunxi Mountain, and we are also the three strange people rumored by the outside world. Xin Ziyi finally understood, and by the way, he also figured out where he was currently. It turned out that he was in Yunxi Mountain of the Western Yan Dynasty. She put on an expression of, oh, that's it, and continued to ask for advice, because I came from the countryside and didn't know about the Yunxi Mountain, let alone the things in the West Along City. I had originally planned to go to the West Along City, but I didn't know the way. As I walked along, I came here. Those three uncles are staying well on this Yunxi Mountain. Why are you rumored to be strange people by outsiders for no reason? The man in the green robe laughed heartily at Xin Ziyi's words before saying, well, yes, we have been guarding our ancestors' spiritual land on Yunxi Mountain for generations. People from outside have been blocked from trying to enter, and some have lost their lives due to breaking into the mountain. After that, some bad discussions have spread, and we have been rumored by the outside world as the three monsters of Yunxi Mountain. Perhaps people from outside want to use public opinion to make our family open up Yunxi Mountain, but this entire mountain range is the spiritual land of our ancestors, and we cannot open it. As for whether we are reclusive experts among the outside population, we don't know, but what is circulating outside is that we are weirdos, hahaha. Xin Ziyi felt a hint of helplessness in the words he explained. Although the man in the blue robe always laughed heartily, after the man in the green robe laughed heartily, he continued to talk about the three of them, and Xin Ziyi decided to be a qualified listener and listen carefully. The man in the green robe pointed to himself and said, as for me, I am obsessed with practicing and researching martial arts, and I am more devoted to studying martial arts than my loved ones. There are rumors outside that I am a foolish martial arts saint, hahaha. Then the man in the green robe pointed to the man in the white robe and said, as for him, there is no distinction between medicine and poison, and his medical skills are good. He has methods to cure most patients in the world, and few people can surpass him in the development of poison techniques. There are rumors in the outside world that he is a poison saint. After the man in the green robe finished speaking, he continued to whisper as if to be mysterious, but his voice remained at a volume that could be heard by all four people. Girl, don't be fooled by his elegant image as a young master. You have to be careful of his poisonous insects. He loves to develop those strange things the most. Don't accidentally fall for his way, hahaha. The man in the green robe finished laughing, and finally pointed to the man in the grey robe and said, there is a legend in the outside world that he is the blind mysterious saint. He likes to focus on studying formations and is skilled in arranging and reconciling formations. His mastery of the mysterious technique is under the leadership of our family's clan leader. Upon hearing these words, Xin Ziyi's previously strange question was confirmed. It turned out that the man in the grey robe had problems with his eyes, no wonder her eyes were smiling but without any light. She curiously glanced into the eyes of the man in the grey robe. The man in the green robe finished talking about the three of them roughly, picked up the wine gourd and looked up to take a sip of the wine, then continued to talk. This Yunxi mountain range is the ancestral spiritual land of our family. People outside know the origin of Yunxi mountain, but there are still many people who will try their best to come to Yunxi mountain. Some have ulterior motives, while others hope to learn from us, but the three of us do not accept apprentices. Firstly, the mountains do not allow outsiders to come in, and secondly, we have not met anyone who is suitable for apprenticeship. Therefore, all three of us have announced to the outside world that there is no need for outsiders to disturb us, but there are still many people who do not give up. In order to no longer be disturbed by the outside world, we had to plant the mysterious mist grass in the outer dense forest. The mysterious mist grass is a seed planted by the medical saint. Girl, being able to safely enter the mountains proves that your poison medicine skills are no longer under the guidance of the medical sage. Xin Ziyi put on a cute, loving, and humble expression and said, no, I don't know much. I rely entirely on luck, it's just a stroke of luck. Girl, since you can break through the poisonous gas in the dense forest, you must also know about the mysterious mist grass. It is a kind of poisonous grass that can naturally emit poisonous gas. If you plant them in large quantities in the dense forest, the poisonous gas they emit will mix with miasma, making the poison even more severe. Smelling it lightly can make people feel dizzy, and inhaling it in large quantities can cause severe hypoxia in the brain. If not rescued in time, it can easily lead to death, so most people dare not approach the dense forest. But some people with ulterior motives will find ways to spend a high price to get an antidote. These people are not afraid of death and will forcibly break into the dense forest. There's no other way, we can only set up a network of heaven and earth in the deep forest, just outside the mountains. Those who don't understand the formation will accidentally break into the formation without timely rescue, and they will be trapped in the formation and exhausted. Many people who want to forcefully break into the mountains have no return, and then some strange theories spread, saying that people in the mountains will eat people, capture the mountain climbers to eat human flesh, stomp off people's fingers as snacks, hang people's heads on the trunk of the dense forest for appreciation, use people's heads as kuju, string white bones into strings to make musical instruments, cut off many white bones and throw them into the dense forest. And so on. The legends from the outside world are becoming more and more outrageous. As they spread, the three of us became the three monsters of Yunxi among the outside population. After the man in the green robe finished speaking, he picked up the wine gourd and took another sip of the wine, sighing softly. Sigh. Chapter 9. Meet the Three Monsters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After listening attentively to the man in the blue robe, Xin Ziyi realized that these three uncles were guarding the ancestral spiritual land in this mountain range, which was the mission of the family. However, they were distorted and spread rumors by outsiders, so she felt helpless. At the same time, she was a bit embarrassed because she was also one of the mountain climbers. She broke in, but she didn't spread rumors, absolutely not. She's just purely curious, she definitely has no ulterior motives. Xin Ziyi looked at the three uncles with a hint of embarrassment and said with an expression that she didn't know how to speak, that. Three uncles, I didn't mean to break into your mountain range. I really don't know the way to the west along city, I don't know how to walk and come here. Xin Ziyi's words are indeed not lying. The man in the green robe waved his hand and laughed heartily in his signature style, then said heartily, girl, it's okay. I see you're quite capable, and you can break in unscathed by chance. It seems like you have a connection with us, hahaha. Xin Ziyi thought to herself. Uncle, of course I can be safe and sound. This girl is using modern technology equipment, but on the surface, she showed an embarrassed expression, even scratched her head. Thank you, Uncle Chingy, for your understanding. However, I did dig up the herbs planted by Uncle White and destroy Uncle Gray's formation, which is my mistake. I must apologize to Uncle White and Uncle Gray for my recklessness. As she spoke, Xin Ziyi bowed and apologized to the men in white and gray robes respectively. Uncle in white, I'm sorry. Uncle Gray, I'm sorry. The man in the gray robe still had a faint smile in his eyes, his lips slightly raised, and he said with a faint smile, girl, there's no need to apologize like this. After all, the three of us even ate your roasted rabbit meat. As for the destroyed formation, I have rearranged it, and you don't have to feel guilty anymore. Xin Ziyi received forgiveness from the man in the gray robe and quickly said politely and obediently, thank you for Uncle Gray's understanding. The man in the gray robe continued with a faint smile on his lips, I'm quite curious. How did you crack the formation I made? Can you tell me? Xin Ziyi thought to herself. Of course, I cannot tell you the equipment I am using. She pretended to be embarrassed on the surface and said, that formation. I don't have any way to crack it, I was purely violent in destroying it. After Xin Ziyi finished speaking, she didn't forget to scratch her head and deliberately chuckled and pretended to use it to cover up her awkward state. After hearing this, the man in the green robe next to him started laughing and laughing. Girl, you truly deserve to be a smart and irritable girl. Those who wanted to break through the mountains before had to be half as smart as you, so they wouldn't be trapped in the formation and wait to die. The man in the gray robe heard Xin Ziyi's words and remembered one of the formations where the cloth was destroyed on the periphery. The position of the formation I in that formation was indeed destroyed in a mess, with broken stones and dust covering the ground. It seems that this girl is indeed powerful enough. The man in the gray robe couldn't help but deepen his shallow smile at the corner of his mouth as he thought of these things, and even let out a soft laugh. This is really a method that I didn't expect. And at this moment, the man in the white robe didn't know what was going on. He pursed his lips and sneered softly, saying, what's unexpected about this? She looks like a rough and ugly girl from the countryside, and it's normal for her to use violence. Xin Ziyi heard it, but didn't care about the derogatory words spoken by the man in the white robe. She still looked at the man in the white robe with a well-behaved and sensible expression, waiting for him to say some words of forgiveness. The man in the white robe glanced at her, then used his hand to flick his long hair and slightly raised his chin, saying, ugly girl, you know, the herbs you dug up for me are very rare, but for your roasted rabbit meat, forget it, I won't argue with you about the herbs anymore. Let's clean up, Xin Ziyi muttered inwardly. Nonsense, if those herbs weren't rare, would I dig them? She felt that the man in the white robe didn't know what was going on, his words were very unpleasant, and he was a bit arrogant. Not only did he pout at her, but he also glanced at her. How dissatisfied is this with her? As a result, Xin Ziyi felt a little displeased with him in her heart, but she still behaved politely and obediently. Thank you, Uncle Bai, for your understanding. After receiving everyone's understanding, Xin Ziyi felt happy in her heart. She weighed it in her mind and felt that if she could make more friends when she first arrived at this dynasty, she could also have more channels to understand it. besides, being able to own such a large mountain range in this dynasty indicates that this family must have a certain identity or reputation in this dynasty, right? After some calculation in her heart, she decided to introduce herself and get to know these three uncles formally, which was not a bad thing, so she showed a smile that she thought was sincere and lovely, and happily said, "Three uncles, nice to meet you." Before Xin Ziyi could finish speaking, he was intercepted by a man in a white robe and pulled away. "Ugly girl, your face looks like that. Don't pretend to be cute and put on an ugly smile." Xin Ziyi choked on the man in the white robe, but didn't pay much attention. Instead, she smiled and said, "Uncle in white, I'm really glad to meet you all. It's our first time meeting. If there's anything else I've done wrong that has caused you any dissatisfaction or misunderstanding with me, we can speak up clearly." I saw the man in the white robe snap and open the folding fan he had originally put away in his hand, with one hand behind him and the other gently shaking the fan while chuckling. "There's no dissatisfaction or misunderstanding, I just wanted to ask, nice to meet you, nice, how happy are you?" Upon hearing this, Xin Ziyi understood. Yaya, I dare say that this man in a white robe doesn't know why, or suddenly has a nerve to target her. If it's not because of boredom, then he's a naturally talkative and deliberately nitpicking master. Xin Ziyi blinked her eyes, showing a self-proclaimed foolishness and pretending to be very innocent. "Uncle Bai, we were all fine just now. Why now? I feel like you're deliberately picking on trouble. Did I say something wrong earlier?" The man in the white robe pursed his lips again and sneered silently. Xin Ziyi glanced at the man in the white robe and thought to herself that this person had a serious problem, but she still said with a smile on her face, "Uncle Bai, I don't know the reason why you asked me that way. Since you are genuinely asking me, I will sincerely answer. Hello. How happy am I? My happiness is like the 2 rabbit meat I roasted, oily and fragrant. You guys eat delicious food, and my heart feels happy. Uncle Bai, how happy do you think I am?" The man in a gray robe beside him chuckled with joy when he heard Xin Ziyi's words. You're interesting, girl." The man in the green robe beside him also laughed heartily and said to the man in the white robe in a reproachful tone, "Yunyang, what's wrong with you? Don't keep getting along with other girls. I think this girl has a good heart." The man in the gray robe had a faint smile on his lips and nodded in agreement, saying, "Yunyang, this girl is very smart. Don't lift a stone and hit yourself in the foot." The man in the white robe flicked his long hair with his hand and casually pursed his lips, saying, "She's just an ugly girl from the countryside, with sharp teeth and sharp mouth. Where can she be so smart? How do you know she has a good heart? I see this ugly girl is not ignorant of the way, but deliberately broke in without knowing how to use any means. She may have entered the mountain range to plan evil. But she is pretending to be innocent here." After listening to the man in the white robe, Xin Ziyi muttered in her heart. "I acknowledge intentionally breaking into the mountains, but I do not acknowledge any ulterior motives. I am purely curious, purely curious. Do you understand?" But she pretended to have suffered a great injustice on the surface, with a bitter and complaining expression on her face, shouting, "Uncle Bai, you really wronged me. I really don't know the way, I just walked and came here. Uncle in white, I really had no intention of entering your mountain range. Look at me, I'm just a weak woman, unarmed and powerless. What kind of scheming can I do? Uncle in white, I'm just a little girl from the countryside who doesn't have sharp teeth and a bad mouth. She's very dull, really." As Xin Ziyi was speaking, she suddenly pointed at the sky with a sincere expression and said, "Uncle in white, look at the sunshine, look at the blue sky, look at the white clouds, they are all telling me that I am truly not lying. Uncle Bai, did I offend you somewhere? Or if your adult doesn't remember the villains, let me know and I'll be more careful next time. Uncle in white, they all say that eating people's mouths is short, holding people's hands is short, say more nice things, leave a line in everything, so we can see each other better in the future. Uncle Bai, I am just a girl from the countryside who has never seen the world before. You are an adult with a large number. Could you please take care of me more? Thank you. After Xin Ziyi finished speaking, she walked forward and blinked at the man in the white robe, showing a look of grievance. The man in the white robe didn't expect Xin Ziyi to be so eloquent. He only said one sentence and was scolded 5 or 6 times. With a face full of frustration and a momentary lack of words to reply to, he put away the slowly shaking fan in his hand and pointed it at Xin Ziyi, speaking incoherently, you, go away, stay away from me. You, don't. Don't just talk about what you have or don't have, anyway, I just don't believe you, ugly girl. Ugly people are causing trouble. Sharp teeth and sharp mouth. Humph. The men in blue and grey robes saw the white-robed man being beaten up by Xin Ziyi. At this moment, both of them stood on the side with trembling shoulders and trembling flowers. Xin Ziyi looked at this man in a white robe, his eyebrows and eyes clear and handsome, his nose high and straight, his long hair and clothes flowing with the wind. If it weren't for his behavior of yawning and deliberately picking faults, such a beautiful and handsome young master image would definitely be remembered by her, Xin Ziyi. But he kept deliberately picking on trouble. Even if the heavenly King Laozi came, she had to scold him to death. Xin Ziyi ignored the speechless expression of the man in the white robe eating his food, and continued, Uncle in White, I think it's impolite of you to interrupt before others finish speaking. Uncle Bai, everyone's appearance is born to their parents. No matter how others look, they should not make fun of them. Uncle in White, what do you think? The man in the white robe, listening to Xin Ziyi's words, means he is being impolite. I was about to retaliate, but after thinking for a moment, he seemed to be like that just now. He was so frustrated that he couldn't respond for a moment. He opened the folding fan in his hand with a loud snap and kept fanning himself. He only glanced at Xin Ziyi with his eyes, and finally only hummed. He turned his face and didn't speak anymore. Xin Ziyi acted as if she hadn't seen or heard anything, regained a sincere expression, and continued with her previous self-introduction, 3 uncles, my name is Xin Ziyi. I am 16 years old and have just come out of a remote countryside. I live in the countryside and have limited access to information, so I have no knowledge about the Western coastal city. I plan to visit the Western coastal city and seek opportunities for development. As soon as Xin Ziyi finished speaking, the man in the white robe burst out laughing and cut off his words, Ugly. Well, just like you, don't think about seeking any development opportunities. I'm afraid you'll have to find a mansion to be the lowest level cleaning maid, right? Yeah, this man in a white robe is really mouth-watering, he can't even be mute for a minute. Not only keep saying she's ugly, but also look down on her. Can't we have a good chat now, right? Xin Ziyi's temper suddenly flared up, causing her hair to explode, and she didn't even shout, yeah, you terrible old man, you're so ugly, you're the ugliest. Who are you looking down on? Although I just came out of the countryside, it doesn't mean that I don't understand anything. I'm also a hard-working and studious person with a unique skill to rely on. The man in the white robe thought of Xin Ziyi pointing out his impolite behavior earlier and felt like he was going too far. When he saw Xin Ziyi's hair explode again, he chatted and shut up. The men in blue and grey robes watching the play on the side also felt that Xin Ziyi was a bit angry. The man in the green robe first had a signature burst of haha laughter, and then came out to help smooth the way. Hahaha, girl, I absolutely believe in you. You have real abilities. The grey-robed man next to him had a faint smile on his lips and nodded in agreement. The man in the green robe continued, girl, don't be angry, don't pay attention to Yunyang, that guy, hahaha. Girl, your parents really know how to name you. Your name sounds so beautiful. In the future, we will call you Z. Then the man in the blue robe pointed at himself and introduced himself, saying, Z, my name is Yunxi. From now on, you can call me Uncle Yunxi. Xin quickly said, "Hello Uncle Yungue." The man in the green robe laughed and said, "Hahaha, okay, okay, okay." Then, pointing to the grey-robed man standing next to him, he said, "He is Yunxi, and he will be called Uncle Yunxi in the future." After being introduced, the man in the grey robe had a faint smile on his lips and nodded slightly to Xin as a gesture of goodwill. Xin also nodded and responded, "Uncle Yunxi, hello." The man in the grey robe also responded, "Hello." The man in the green robe finally pointed to the man in the white robe and said, "He's Yunyang, you can call him Uncle Yunyang. You know, he's just a mouthless guy, hahaha." Hahaha. Xin treated everyone equally and did not refuse to greet her due to her previous unhappiness. On the contrary, he greeted the man in a white robe confidently and said, "Uncle Yunyang, hello." But after being introduced and greeted by Xin, the man in the white robe pouted again with a disdainful expression on his face. After Xin asked about his condition, the man in the white robe did not respond. She didn't care, nor did she pay attention to his expression. After the introduction, Yun Yan looked at Xin's face and felt relieved, then continued to open the topic and said, "I want to ask, your martial arts moves are quite unique. I haven't figured out what's going on yet. Where are you from?" Xin thought to herself, how could she have any martial arts moves? All she knows is modern combat. She just integrated her insights into the training process and improved her attack speed, strength, and accuracy, but she definitely can't be honest about it. Even if she is honest, they can't understand what modern combat is. To avoid not being able to explain the reason clearly, she decided to say it simply. She raised her small chin proudly and said, "Uncle Yungue, the reason why my moves are unique is because I created them myself. I wanted to have a few more moves with Uncle Yungue to test the results of the moves I created." Xin had just finished speaking, but Yun Ting had not yet had a chance to respond. Upon hearing Xin's words, Yunyang let out a sneer and then said disdainfully, "Just your little three-legged skills, any 3-year-old child can play with them and even create them themselves. I think you're ugly." A lot of people make a fuss. Hiss. Xin heard Yunyang speak unfriendly again, and her small temper, which was suppressed in her heart, was also stirring up. "Yaya, this person really doesn't know how to eat people and have a short mouth. I ate the rabbit meat she roasted and never said a good word. Does this person not know how to be kind to others? Don't you know what to say? If I had known, she would have sprinkled some poison on the rabbit meat and given it to him." She thought that through the previous communication, this uncle named Yunyang could enhance some friendly communication, but in the end, he still called her ugly girl after ugly girl. Still mocking her. I still look down on her. Is she ugly? Is she ugly? Is she ugly? Although she hasn't had the chance to see what the beautiful women in the western coastal city look like yet, however, the appearance of the original owner, who now belongs to her, is not ugly, with fair skin like condensed fat, a melon seed face, curved eyebrows like the moon, dark and bright eyes, a high and straight Cheong nose, red lips and white teeth, and a snow-white and slender neck. Even if she cannot compete with immortals, she can still be considered a superior appearance. Actually, I can't blame Yunyang for calling her ugly, because the ugly makeup on her face is exactly what she is extremely satisfied with, but it seems that she has forgotten about the extremely ugly makeup on her face. It can only indicate that her ugly makeup was very successful. However, Yunyang should not keep calling her an ugly girl, saying she looks ugly, and even taking the opportunity to mock and look down on her, so, this time, Xin couldn't bear it anymore. She was so angry that she didn't even shout and shouted angrily, "Who are you saying is ugly? You're a terrible old man, you're the ugliest, you're the ugliest. You are so ugly that the sun will set early when it sees you, the moon will hide in the clouds when it sees you, the flowers will not bloom when they see you, the birds will fly away when they see you, the fish will disperse when they see you, and even the toads will jump away when they see you. You bad old man, you should go back to your house and reflect on yourself. Don't keep coming out and causing trouble. Xin Ziyi crossed her waist and made a high frequency output, causing her face to turn red with anger. Yunyang is also very dissatisfied this time. Why do all things in heaven and earth dislike him? He was told twice by her to be a bad old man. Yunyang angrily slapped the fan away and picked it up in his hand. He pointed the fan at Xin Ziyi angrily and said, "Ugly girl, you're already ugly like that." Xin Ziyi was also unwilling to be outdone. He clenched his fists and angrily walked forward, punching his face with his fists and warning seriously, "I'm telling you, you can try to make me ugly again." Yunyang is not afraid either. He thinks that as a dignified man, would he be afraid of an ugly girl from the countryside? So he raised his volume and said disdainfully, "You're just ugly. Have you forgotten what you look like? Then go take a photo by the river, remember, you." But before Yunyang could finish speaking, Xin Ziyi waved a packet of medicinal powder and sprinkled it on his face. Then the next second, I saw Yunyang constantly opening his mouth and shouting, but couldn't make a sound. Yun Yan and Yun Chen, who were watching the play on the side, were also startled by this incident, but soon realized that it was Xin Ziyi who had used some tricks. Previously, Xin Ziyi was pretending to be angry and clenching her fists. In fact, she had already taken a bag of forbidden medicine powder from the space through her sleeve and held it in her hand. She deliberately walked forward, pretending to be going to beat Yunyang, and then unexpectedly scattered the medicine. However, Xin Ziyi was also paused by Yunyang's last words, and for a moment she seemed to have something on her mind, but she still couldn't get angry. Anyway, the forbidden medicine powder was scattered, so let's teach him a lesson. Who wants him to provoke his aunt? Yunyang realized that he had been hit by Xin Ziyi's move and couldn't make a sound. He was angry, and glaring, protesting silently at Xin Ziyi with his teeth and claws open. Xin Ziyi deliberately dug out her ear with her hand, and then deliberately placed her hand next to her ear as a listening gesture, and then deliberately said, "Uncle Yunyang, what's wrong with you? Uncle Yunyang, what do you want to say? Speak up a little louder. Uncle Yunyang, what are you talking about? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Uncle Yunyang, who else are you talking about being ugly? You talk, you talk." Then, Xin Ziyi pointed at the ugly makeup on her face and said seriously, "Uncle Yunyang, let me tell you, these things I painted on my face, this is called Rong makeup. Do Rong understand? I look pretty, Mississippi." As soon as Xin Ziyi finished speaking, Yun Ting couldn't wait to verify the authenticity of Xin Ziyi's words. Then he flew up to Xin Ziyi with a whoosh. Due to being too sudden, Xin Ziyi was frightened and took several steps back in a row. Yeah, it's lightness skills again. This lightness skill is so fast. If you want to fly over, just fly over. Xin Ziyi is truly envious. But when Yun Ting suddenly flew in front of her, she was so scared that she was careful not to jump a few times. She said in great dissatisfaction, "Uncle Yungue, what are you doing? Scare me. People are scary, they can scare people to death." Yun Ting felt embarrassed and touched his nose, then laughed heartily. "Z, I just want to see your face changing makeup. How could it be so realistic?" As Yun Yan spoke, he looked up closely and carefully observed it up close before saying, "Upon closer inspection, these facial features look quite beautiful. It shouldn't be the appearance of crooked melons and cracked dates. But this paint and skin blend very well, I can't even tell it's painted on. Z, have you really changed your appearance?" Xin Ziyi pursed her lips and didn't have a good airway. "Uncle Yungue, do you still have fake disguise? If you really grow up like this, do you still need to disguise yourself? The reason why the pigment I use can blend so well with the skin is because my pigment is specially made. It's unique in the world." After hearing this, Yun Ting laughed happily and nodded repeatedly, saying, right, Z, I just think you have real skills." At this moment, Yunyang also used his lightness skills to fly over and join the fun, and also came over to study Xin Ziyi's face, but she was still a bit unhappy with Yunyang. Although he had already taught him a lesson, he flew over to join the fun and study her. She thinks there's nothing wrong with this person. Why watch her like a monkey? So, Xin Ziyi waved his hand like a fly and sent Yunyang away, saying angrily, "What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a beautiful woman before? You bad old man, go away. Believe it or not, I really hit you this time." This time, Yunyang couldn't make a sound, but he didn't protest because of her words. On the contrary, all three of them were amused by Xin Ziyi's unpleasant tone of voice, and the atmosphere suddenly became relaxed again. In fact, Xin Ziyi knew from the beginning that these three people had no ill intentions. They ate the rabbit meat she had roasted, but she wasn't really angry, nor was she really angry. As the saying goes, if you don't fight, you won't get to know each other. She's just using this method to test and open up the situation of getting to know them. Watching the commotion between the two of them, Yunxi and Yunchen, they also knew that Xin Ziyi had no ill intentions and was simply teasing Yunyang, but Yunchen couldn't help but ask, "Miss Ziyi, Yunyang will be fine like this, won't she?" Xin Ziyi smiled and waved her hand, saying, "It's okay. After a quarter of an hour, the efficacy will automatically be relieved, or he can try to find a legal antidote himself." Then, Xin Ziyi turned her head to look at Yunyang and said with a wicked smile on her face, "Uncle Yunyang, I have warned you many times, but you still insist on provoking me. This time is just a small lesson for you. Next time you do this again, I will give you a more profound lesson. Uncle Yunyang, I also have some understanding of drug medicine. I have developed this forbidden medicine powder. If you want to recover your voice quickly, you can try making the antidote yourself and see if you can make my forbidden medicine powder antidote. It can be considered that we are communicating in drug medicine." Hahaha. Yunyang finally realized that he had hit a hard spot. He had just felt his pulse, but there was a ratio where he had been diagnosed several times but couldn't find it. This indicates that the girl's medical poison skills are slightly better than or even surpassing him, and Yunyang's initial anger and barefoot movements have turned into a face full of frustration. Shaking his head, showing a friendly smile, and clasping his hands together, he asked Xin Ziyi to give him the antidote of the forbidden medicine powder. Xin Ziyi can't be so easily persuaded. She shook her head at Yunyang and said word by word, "No, but I can. I won't give you the antidote. Uncle Yunyang, if you think I'm going to teach you a lesson. How could I possibly give you an antidote? If I give you an antidote, then the lesson will become meaningless." Upon hearing Xin Ziyi's words, Yunyang's face turned frosty like an eggplant. Seeing Yunyang's appearance on the side, Yunting felt quite amused and waved his hand at him, saying, "Yunyang, I've told you before not to keep getting along with Miss Ziyi. Now that you've learned a lesson, why don't you quickly develop your own antidote?" Hahaha. The gray-robed man's lips deepened with a faint smile, and he chuckled softly, saying, Yunyang lifted a stone and hit himself in the foot. Yunyang should not be able to diagnose the antidote of Ziyi medicinal powder, otherwise according to his temperament, he would never have taken it so easily. After hearing what Yunchen said, Yunyang nodded with a dejected and helpless expression, saying, "Indeed, he can't diagnose an antidote." Xin Ziyi saw Yunyang like that, but she had a proud smile on her face. Yunting also chuckled and said, "Ziyi, you teach such a good lesson. You don't know. Usually, Yunyang and Yunchen are used to test the medicine he develops. It's really hard for us who don't know how to cure poison." "Oh, hello." Xin Ziyi listened and patted her chest, promising, Uncle Yunchen, if you have any problems, come to me and I will detoxify you." Hahaha. Good. I'll say that Miss Ziyi has real skills. Yunting laughed happily and said. Yunchen also smiled lightly at the corner of his mouth and said, "Thank you, Ziyi." Only Yunyang looked dejected, and he also approached Xin Ziyi to show goodwill, but Xin Ziyi still ignored him. Finally, Xin Ziyi proposed, Uncle Yunxian, we're meeting for the first time. We've just met. How about I make some barbecue for you guys to celebrate our chance to become friends? What do you two uncles think? Upon hearing this, Yun Yan and Yun Chen immediately raised their hands in agreement. Agree. Yun Yang quickly raised his hand and crowded forward to brush his presence, meaning there was still him. He is also very willing to become friends with Xin Ziyi. Xin Ziyi stopped teasing Yun Yang and smiled, saying, Uncle Yun Yang, treat it as an experience of enduring 15 minutes of silence. After 15 minutes, you will be able to recover. I'll give you a little lesson this time. Be careful when speaking next time, hahaha. Then Xin Ziyi greeted everyone and said, alright, let's take a walk and see what we can catch. Today, I'm showcasing my culinary skills and I'll make sure you eat and drink well and manage your fill. Chapter 10. Unforgettable friendship formed by two barbecues. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The four of them walked towards the forest where Xin Ziyi had barbecued before, chatting and laughing, but except for Yun Yang, who couldn't make a sound, he could only listen to the three of them happily chatting. He also wants to join the chat. He regrets it. If he knew this young ant was so powerful, he would never provoke her. In fact, Yun Yang wanted to retaliate against Xin Ziyi at that time. He wanted to use his own expertise in goo poison against Xin Ziyi, but secretly tried several times, but surprisingly, he couldn't succeed. He used other poisons he had developed himself, and Xin Ziyi showed no signs of poisoning either. He has to doubt whether his years of medical poisoning skills are problematic. But when he applied the same poison to himself, there were immediately signs of poisoning, so he quickly took the antidote. He couldn't believe it. What the hell? He originally thought that the medicinal powder given to him by Xin Ziyi was just a small trick, but when he diagnosed himself and wanted to prepare an antidote, there was a ratio that he couldn't even diagnose. He also tried several times to calculate the ratio and develop an antidote himself, but couldn't solve the forbidden pill powder that Xin Ziyi gave him. In the end, proud and hesitant, he had to give up preparing the antidote. So in the end, he had to admit his guilt, had to be convinced of Xin Ziyi, and had to bow down to her willingly. And silently swear in my heart that I will never provoke Xin Ziyi again and will treat her as my best friend. Speaking of which, the poison and medicine used by Xin Ziyi were developed by Xiao Yi in space. Xiao Yi is a super all-around robot, which develops toxins and medicines with 100% accuracy in ingredient ratios and is very efficient. So, how can the human brain calculate it as for Xin Ziyi's non-toxic body? It all depends on the Holy Spirit spring in space to function. The Holy Spirit spring water in the psychic space can clear heat and detoxify, not only to detoxify the surface, but also to detoxify the true poison. During the time when Xin Ziyi rested in the space, she went to soak in the Holy Spirit spring hot spring for half an hour every day. All the healing and body-regulating medicines she ate in the space were made with Holy Spirit spring water added, so, with both oral medication and hot spring soaking, her body not only became healthier, but also her physical fitness improved. Her muscle and blood were also undergoing significant changes, strengthening in a positive direction, and eventually becoming an invincible and non-toxic body. However, Xin Ziyi had not yet realized and felt this good news. In no time, the four of them walked together to the place where Xin Ziyi used to make barbecue. There was also the barbecue rack that Xin Ziyi had made before, and now they planned to make barbecue again. The rack can still be used. Then, they quickly completed the division of labor. Yun Gui is responsible for catching game in the woods, Yun Chen is responsible for picking up firewood, Yun Yang is responsible for fishing on the other side of the river, Xin Ziyi is responsible for preparing some things for barbecue. After the work was assigned, they split up to do their own responsibilities. After they all left, Xin Ziyi took out several beers and drinks from the space through her backpack and put them in her backpack. She planned to take them out and drink together when we had barbecue together. She also took some necessary ingredients out of the space through her backpack and put them in her backpack as a backup. She also thought that it would be too monotonous for everyone to just eat barbecue together, but it would be impossible to take out too much other food from the space, so she didn't know how to explain it. Later on, she thought of making another boiled fish and only needed to bring out a seasoning in the space, so she let Yunyang go fishing. This way, the fish was caught on the spot, so there was no need to explain too much. She wanted to make boiled fish, so she needed a pot, so she took out a 7.8-liter pot from the space in advance and prepared some disposable bowls and chopsticks. After the things were ready, Xin Ziyi was thinking again that she didn't take out a lot of things from the space this time, but people here must have never seen them before. For these novel things, the three uncles would find them strange, or when they take out other things to use in the future, someone would definitely be curious and ask questions, so she must figure out how to answer in advance now, and she also needs to plan ahead how to answer all the questions that will be asked. She needs to organize a unified answer, and when asked in the future, she will reply with a unified answer. Xin Ziyi pondered quietly for a moment and then made up the story in her mind. If someone asks her where the countryside is, she just said she didn't know. I believe even the people of the Prime Minister's office dare not refute this answer. Because the original owner really didn't know where the rural village where she had lived for 16 years was, because no one had told her. The mother-in-law on the estate was only responsible for guarding her every day, and it was impossible to tell her where the estate belonged, and the people of the Prime Minister's mansion would not have told her, otherwise they would not have directly knocked her unconscious and thrown her into the carriage to take her away. If someone questions where they have been in the countryside for 16 years, it is impossible not to even know the specific location. Then she said that she was abandoned by her family from the moment she was born, and that she had been abandoned by her family in the countryside and lived with her mother-in-law for 16 years since childhood. I believe this cannot be refuted by the Prime Minister's office. And the mother-in-law who lived with the original owner for 16 years, on the day when the original owner was brought back by the people sent by the Prime Minister's office, the mother-in-law was also directly killed by the people sent by the Prime Minister's office. Therefore, regarding the mother-in-law's matter, I believe the Prime Minister's office is unwilling or dare not speak the truth. If someone asks, why was it that I was able to come from the countryside to Xiancheng again? Then she said that because her mother-in-law who took care of her passed away, she came out of the countryside and planned to seek development opportunities in the city along the west coast. As for the reason why the old lady in the countryside was killed by the Prime Minister's office, the original owner is also unaware. The original owner accidentally saw the people who killed the old lady before he was unconscious. At that time, the original owner was scared and stunned, so that the people who came to pick up the original owner thought that the original owner's spirit was problematic. However, Xin Ziyi now speculates that it is probably because the old lady knows too much, and the people of the Prime Minister's office are going to silence her. At that time, the people of the Prime Minister's mansion also poisoned and drugged the original master, with the aim of ensuring his death. It can be seen from this that the people of the Prime Minister's office are so cunning and vicious. In fact, if the Prime Minister's office does not recognize her as the legitimate daughter, she thinks it doesn't matter at all. Anyway, she is not unable to survive now. If it is necessary to be associated with the Prime Minister's office, the main purpose is to seek justice for the original lord and fulfill his long-standing wish. As for her future life, she must have lived according to her own ideas, because the original wish of the original owner belongs to her, and the future life belongs to her now. If someone asks her where those novel things come from about things taken out in space, then she said these novel things were all brought out by her from the countryside, given to her by an old man with a white beard. Specifically, when she was in the countryside, by chance, she met an old man with a white beard and a fairy-like spirit. The old grandfather pitied her for being lonely. He not only taught her the art of medicine and poison, but also taught her many other knowledge. He also brought her a lot of food to eat. At that time, she was also very curious about the novel things that her grandfather had brought her, which she had never seen before. She also asked her grandfather where these things came from, but he only said they were specialties from his countryside, where his grandpa's rural area specifically. She didn't know either, because the old man didn't tell her the specific place. The old man only said that his countryside was very far away. Grandpa also told her that there are abundant resources in their countryside, and they have everything, so, in the future, whenever she comes up with anything novel, she will always say that it was brought to her by the old man with a white beard. So, in the future, if anyone suspects that she is a country girl, why do she know so much? She will all say that it was taught to her by the old man with a white beard. Anyway, in the village of the Prime Minister's mansion, only the old lady and the original owner have been living there, without anyone else. Anyway, the old lady on the Zhuangzi has already been killed by the people of the Prime Minister's office, and there is no evidence to support her. If you want to question her, there is no way to obtain evidence. So, no one will know whether the old man with a white beard is real or fake, and no one can find anything in the countryside village. The fabricated story is half true and half false, also for the convenience of future actions. For those who treat her well out of sincerity, she does not intentionally deceive, but because her background cannot be explained, she can only fabricate a well-intentioned story to explain. Xin Ziyi silently apologized to those who genuinely treated her well in advance, saying in her heart that she didn't mean to deceive. Xin Ziyi had already planned and made up the story in her heart. Looking back at those three uncles who had not returned yet, she looked around and suddenly thought that everyone would sit down and have barbecue together later. Without a table to place food, it would be very inconvenient. She thought of the folding tables and chairs in the space, wondering if she wanted to take out a set to use, but the volume of a set of folding tables and chairs is too large. Even if it can be said that the entire set of folding tables and chairs was given to her by an old man with a gray beard, how should she explain how folding tables and chairs suddenly appeared here? Because the folding tables and chairs are too large, it is impossible to put them on the back of a backpack. Since the explanation doesn't work, she has to give up the idea of holding folding tables and chairs in the space. Afterwards, she thought of the lush bamboo forest and came up with the idea of building a simple table with bamboo. Xin Ziyi has always been an action-oriented person, doing whatever he says. Soon, he went to the bamboo forest and chopped some bamboo back. She took out the chainsaw and some necessary tools from the space before the others came back. The tools taken out of the space require electricity and are all rechargeable. The tools are automatically charged in the space, so they can be used directly when taken out. She plans to first use a chainsaw and other tools to quickly cut the length of bamboo that needs to be made into a desktop, the height of bamboo that needs to be made into table legs, bamboo nails that need to be used for auxiliary fixation, and the polishing of bamboo. Then, she will put the chainsaw and other tools back into the space. Next, she began to assemble the table according to her imagined style, using bamboo nails to secure the areas where they needed to be fixed. She found a piece of wood to use as a hammer, and used it to drive the bamboo nails into the positions where they needed to be fixed. Because there was room for a chainsaw and other tools to assist in the initial steps, a simple rectangular table was quickly made, but with a table, there couldn't be no chairs. Then she thought of the other side of the forest. She had seen some fallen trees before and planned to go there. She took out the chainsaw and saw a few wooden blocks as chairs to sit on. The wooden blocks were simple, convenient, and practical. In other words, just do it. She got up and walked towards the forest over there. Soon, she found a fallen tree in the forest. She took the chainsaw out of the space, cut it 3 times and 5 times, and the fallen tree was enough to cut into 5 wooden stumps. Then, she took out the polishing machine in the space and slightly polished the wooden stumps, so that the wooden stumps would not have thorns and would not hurt her hands. She made a total of 5 wooden blocks and moved them back to the barbecue area one by one. She does exercise training every day, so she can bear the weight of the wooden blocks. Moving 5 wooden blocks back and forth, she treats it as weight-bearing training. When she brought back the last wooden pier and put it away, she saw Uncle Yunxi carrying a large bundle of firewood. It felt like that bundle of firewood was enough to burn for about 10 days, and she was stunned. Xin walked over with a smile. Uncle Yunchen, you're back picking up firewood. The bundle of firewood you're carrying is too big. Let me help you. As he spoke, he went forward and helped hold the bundle of firewood with his hands, asking Yunchen to carefully put down the large bundle of firewood. After Yunchen put down the firewood, he asked Xin, I don't know how much firewood to use for barbecue later, so I picked up these. Do you think they're enough? Xin quickly said, enough, Uncle Yunchen. The firewood you picked up can be burned for about 10 days, and you can grill many wild rabbits. Hahaha. Yunchen was infected by her teasing laughter, and the curved corners of his mouth with a faint smile deepened. He also chuckled lightly twice. That would be great. In the next 10 days, won't our 3 uncles have some good luck? I don't know how many wild rabbits Yunxian can catch today. Yunchen is rumored to be the blind Xianxing by the outside world because of his eye problems. He can only see things close by, so when Yunchen approached, he saw the bamboo table and the 5 wooden pillars. He was a bit surprised. Where did you get this bamboo table? These wooden pillars. Can't you make it? Xin smiled and nodded, saying, hahaha. Yes, it's all me who made it. We can sit here together, have barbecue, and talk about life. Uncle Yunchen, am I very skilled? Yunchen was amused by Xin's ancient and supernatural appearance, and this time he said with a smile on his face in appreciation, you are really amazing. Your skills have amazed Uncle Yunchen. Xin was even happier after hearing this. Everyone likes to be praised, and she is no exception. In the past, when she was in an organization, whenever she was praised by leaders, mentors, senior brothers and sisters, she was also very happy. Xin and Yunchen were chatting and laughing, and at the same time, they set the fire on first because the barbecue would require good charcoal to be cooked later, so that the meat would be delicious. Not long after, Xin and Yunchen also saw Yunyang fishing back. Wow, Yunyang actually caught 3 big fish and came back. The body of the fish is as long as the arms. Xin exclaimed in surprise, Uncle Yunyang, the fish you caught are so big. 2 should be enough, but can the other one still be released? Yunchen said on the side. Yunyang may be worried about not eating enough. Yunyang approached, but did not answer the main question. Instead, he shouted happily, Yunchen, my voice has been restored. Xin and Yunchen arrived together. I heard you. I heard you. Xin really felt that there were too many 3 fish, so she asked Yunyang again, Uncle Yunyang, there are too many fish. Can we release one of them? Yunyang scratched his head and chuckled, I can't do it anymore. I used bamboo tips to fork them. If they were stabbed, they would either die or be injured, and I have already slaughtered them. Even if I let them go, I won't be able to live anymore. He. Xin waved her hand helplessly and said, all right, then let's use 2 fish to make boiled fish fillets and 1 fish to grill. With so many ingredients, you should eat more later and not waste it, okay? Yunchen nodded in agreement, while Yunyang changed his previous image of a proud, slutty, and elegant young master. At this moment, he became active, outgoing, and easy to get along with. He patted his chest and promised, don't worry. I will definitely open my stomach and eat, I promise not to waste. Xin stepped forward to pick up the fish and found that Yunyang had indeed processed and washed it clean. That's so kind of you. I'll do what I say. I'll go make fish food now, When she went to chop bamboo before, she saw lotus leaves by the river, so she picked some clean ones and brought them back. Now, if she wants a piece of fish, she can use it. She laid the lotus leaves on the bamboo table, placed the fish on the lotus leaves, and then took out a sharp dagger to start the work of slicing fish. Yunchen knew that Xin was going to cook fish in water. When he saw the pot, he didn't ask anything. He just picked up the pot and went to the river to fetch the water back. Then he helped to light the fire and cook fish in water. Yunyang is very novel. When he saw Xin Ziyi placing the fish on the bamboo table, he raised his first question, "Hey, where did this bamboo table come from?" "Ziyi, can't you make it?" Xin Ziyi jokingly answered while slicing fish, "Yeah, how's it going?" "Uncle Yunyang, am I still skilled as an ugly girl from the countryside?" Yunyang said in a dissatisfied tone, "Alright, Ziyi, stop teasing me, Uncle Yunyang, I shouldn't have mocked you or looked down on you before." "I apologize, okay." Xin Ziyi glanced at Yunyang with a smile on her face, but didn't say a word. She thought to herself. Uncle Yunyang must give him 3 more colors to see, we can't let him go so early, hahaha. Then Yunyang saw the wooden blocks again, flipped through them one by one, and then asked with suspicion, Ziyi, did you also make these wooden piers?" "How did you make them?" "These wooden piers are well made." Xin Ziyi lowered her head on the sliced fish and deliberately replied teasingly, "How was the wooden pier made?" "It must have been made of wood. I went to the woods to cut wood. How about I move back one by one?" "Uncle Yunyang, am I very skilled?" "Uncle Yunyang, you won't look down on me this time, will you?" Hahaha. At this moment, 3 black lines on Yunyang's forehead slid down. He regretted it. He really regretted the mocking behavior towards Xin Ziyi before, and now Ziyi seems to not want to let him go. Yunyang pouted helplessly and said, "Ziyi, let's just let it go. We are good friends now. Don't say anything that hurts your feelings. Ziyi, if you still want to mention it, Uncle Yunyang and I will feel very embarrassed." Yun Chen, who was helping to set fire on the side, joked, "Yunyang, if you feel embarrassed, then it proves that this lesson has worked." Xin Ziyi listened with a ha-ha-ha smile and agreed, "Uncle Yunyang, to your friends in the future. Be good to me, Xin Ziyi, don't provoke me, you know." Yunyang quickly promised, I know, I must know." Yunyang saw that Xin Ziyi and Yun Chen were both busy, and he took the initiative to ask if there was anything he could help with. "Ziyi, is there anything I can help with?" Xin Ziyi happened to finish the meat slices of 2 large fish, and then she cut off the head of the 3rd fish, cut the fish body into 2 sides, and needed to string these 2 fish together to make grilled fish. She handed it over to Yunyang to do. "Uncle Yunyang, then you are responsible for skewering the fish on both sides with bamboo tips, and then taking them over to the fire rack over there to grill." After Xin Ziyi finished explaining, he took the fish head and sliced fish meat to make boiled fish. She poured down the water-boiled fish seasoning bag that was taken out of the space and boiled it first. Then, she put the fish head down and boiled it. When the fish head was almost cooked, she put the sliced fish meat down and rolled it. If everyone divides their work and cooperates, things will be done quickly. This time, Uncle Yungui also came back from catching wild game. He caught 3 wild rabbits and 1 wild chicken. "Oh my God, it's all meat, this is the rhythm of having a big meal." Moreover, those 3 wild rabbits and 1 wild chicken were all handled and washed clean. Xin Ziyi's boiled fish fillet has also been prepared this time, so she started to deal with the rabbits and wild chickens caught by Uncle Yungui. She skewered the rabbits and pheasants open with bamboo tips, and then took them to the cooked fire rack to grill. Then, as Uncle Yunyang had almost roasted the 2 sides of the fish, he took out the seasoning and sprinkled it on top. Then, he flipped the 2 sides and grilled them for a while, and the fish was ready. She served boiled fish slices and grilled fish on the table first and greeted them, 3 uncles, boiled fish fillets and grilled fish are ready. Let's eat the fish first. The rabbits and pheasants will have to wait a little longer to get ready." Then, Xin Ziyi took out disposable bowls and chopsticks from her backpack, all of which were made of biodegradable materials and environmentally friendly. She arranged the bowls and chopsticks, and before they could ask any questions, she said it herself, 3 uncles, these are disposable bowls and chopsticks for dining. Don't be surprised by these novel things. These things were all given to me by an old man when I was in the countryside before, and they were convenient to use when traveling. Come on, this is our first gathering as friends. Let's eat together. Xin Ziyi was like a host entertaining guests. Yunxi and Yunyang knew that Xin Ziyi's abilities were definitely not small, so they didn't say much and sat down one by one, and Yunyang was still the most curious one. After sitting down, he couldn't help but ask, "Ziyi, is the old grandfather you mentioned your grandfather?" After finishing a piece of fish, Xin Ziyi said, "No, that old man I met by chance in the countryside is a very good old man. To be honest, I don't even know if I have a grandfather, let alone where my grandfather is." Yun Yan, Yun Chen, and Yun Yang heard Xin Ziyi's words, and their chopsticks in their hands stopped in mid-air, as if they had suddenly forgotten to eat fish and meat. They all looked at her with confusion. Upon seeing this, Xin Ziyi couldn't help but feel amused and said, "Three uncles, don't be confused. I really don't know if I still have a grandfather. Because from the moment I was born, I was thrown into the countryside to support myself. They left me in the countryside for a full 16 years without anyone visiting me. So I don't even know which of my relatives are there, or where are my relatives." The three of them became even more curious, and Yunyang not only became curious, but also continued to ask questions. "Ziyi, are your parents so cruel? How did you grow up alone in the countryside?" Xin Ziyi picked up another piece of fish and ate it before saying, "My mother gave birth to me. She was not cruel, but after I was born, my mother died. Then the government arranged for a woman to take me to the countryside to support me." Then Xin Ziyi saw that the three of them were only focused on listening to the story, without using their chopsticks to eat, and quickly greeted them, "Three uncles, eat fish and meat. This boiled fish is fresh, fragrant, and spicy, and the taste is pretty good. Hurry up and eat it. If you want to learn about my story, we can chat and eat together." Yun Ting listened and laughed heartily, saying, Okay, chat while eating, then, after eating a piece of fish, he couldn't help but praise it. This boiled fish fillet is delicious. Ziyi, you cooked the fish so well." Xin Ziyi smiled and said, "Uncle Yungue, if it's delicious, then you should eat more." Yun Ting picked up a few slices of fish and ate them, then spoke up, "Ziyi girl, don't blame our three uncles for gossiping. A girl as excellent as you, how could a father not cherish her? Girl, if I had a girl like you, I wouldn't have had time to hold her in the palm of my hand and feel pain." Sigh. Yun Chen also picked up a few pieces of fish and ate them, and felt that the taste was good. "Ziyi, is your boiled fish fillet also original?" Xin Ziyi smiled and said, "Uncle Yun Chen, this boiled fish fillet was taught by the old man I met in the countryside, and the ingredients for making fish were also given to me by the old man." Yun Chen nodded clearly and continued to eat the fish. Yunyang enjoyed eating the most because boiled fish was a bit spicy, and his forehead was sweating from the spiciness. He even said while eating, "Ziyi, this boiled fish is so delicious, spicy, fragrant, and refreshing. I really love it." Xin Ziyi's mouth turned red when she saw Yunyang being spicy, and she still enjoyed eating so much. It seems that she really likes to eat it. Yes, the one who makes boiled fish is crispy grass carp. I made thin slices of fish meat to make boiled fish, which tasted a bit refreshing and delicious. Xin Ziyi took a bite of grilled fish and ate it very well. The grilled fish was very tender, and she recommended it. The grilled fish is also good. The fish is very tender. Three uncles, try it quickly. So the three of them obediently went to taste the grilled fish. The taste was so delicious that they even nodded in praise. Yungue gave a thumbs up and praised, "Ziyi, your grilled fish is also delicious. Girl, you're amazing." Yun Chen also nodded repeatedly to join the way. It's really delicious. Ziyi, you've made two different ways to make this type of fish, and both methods are so delicious. You're amazing. Xin Ziyi smiled happily and said, "Uncle Yunchen, if you continue to praise me, I will be praised to the heavens, hahaha." Then everyone was amused by Xin Ziyi and laughed heartily. creating a harmonious atmosphere. Yunyang ate and ate, as if thinking of something, and then said, "Z, I will go fishing every day in the future, and then you can make it for us to eat. This fish is so delicious." Xin Ziyi listened and joked with a smile, "Uncle Yunyang, I still have to go to the western coastal city to seek development opportunities. How could I make fish for you every day?" Yunyang sneered while eating. "Z, what's good about the city along the west coast? Since you're not familiar with the city, why don't you just stay in our mountains and live freely?" "How wonderful." Xin Ziyi disagreed and said, "Uncle Yunyang, there are good things in the mountains, and I believe there are also good things in the city. It is precisely because I am not familiar with the city that I have to go and see the world." Yunxi nodded in agreement and said, "What Ziyi said makes sense. I think Ziyi should go and take a look. A person's life is neither long nor short. If there is an opportunity to take a walk and see more, it is not a waste of the path of this life." Yunting continued, "Yeah, Z, if you have the opportunity, go take a look. If you encounter any problems, you can tell our three uncles and we will help you." Yunchen and Yunyang also spoke in unison, "Yes, Z, if you have any problems in the future, remember to ask us for help." At this moment, Xin Ziyi felt warm in her heart. For some reason, she suddenly felt very moved in her heart. Perhaps it was because she had just arrived here, met someone who treated her sincerely, or thought of her loved ones at some end of the universe. Her eyes turned red, and tears wanted to flow down her face. Xin Ziyi resisted the urge to shed tears and stood up sincerely, bowing to Yun Yan, Yun Chen, and Yun Yang, "Three uncles, I sincerely thank you." "Thank you all three uncles." Yun Yan, Yun Chen, and Yun Yang quickly helped Xin Ziyi. "Girl, you don't have to be so polite. Remember, we're not just friends, we're also your elders," said Yungue. Yun Chen said, "Girl, you are a smart and sincere child. We all hope you are well, so if there is anything we can do, we all hope to be able to help you." Yun Yang also agreed and said, Yes, Z, don't be too polite, you know." Xin Ziyi nodded with emotion and said, "I understand. Thank you, three uncles." Suddenly smelling the aroma of grilled meat wafting in, Xin Ziyi stood up again and said, "Three uncles, please continue eating fish. I smell the aroma of meat and I'll go see if the grilled meat is good." As Xin Ziyi spoke, she walked over to look at the grilled meat. The rabbit meat and wild chicken meat were roasted on both sides, golden yellow and greasy. She took out the sole seasoning from the barbecue and sprinkled it on top, flipped it over on both sides, and the rabbit meat and wild chicken meat were cooked. Then she took two in one hand and brought the grilled meat to the table. Then he took out 4 cans of beer and 4 cans of drinks from his backpack. Yun Yan, Yun Chen, and Yun Yang were all quite curious when they saw it, but Yun Yang was the first curious person to ask a question. Z, what is this?" Xin Ziyi pointed to 4 cans of beer and 4 cans of beverages and explained to the three of them, "These 4 cans are beer, and these 4 cans are drinks. As the saying goes, barbecue with beer, chat about life without any troubles. Three uncles, let's have beer first." Then Xin Ziyi taught them how to open the can. After opening the can, Xin Ziyi said again, "Three uncles, this is called beer, which was also left for me by the old man I met in the countryside. That old man told me that beer is best for friends' gatherings, it's delicious and enjoyable. But it's not advisable to drink too much beer, as drinking too much can harm the body and even lead to getting drunk." Yunting saw this novel thing for the first time and took a curious sip, feeling that the taste was good. "Z, is this thing called beer? It tastes good and has a great taste." Upon hearing this, Yun Chen and Yun Yang took a sip and both thought it was delicious. Xin Ziyi continued, "Three uncles, it's really nice to meet you all, Xin Ziyi. Let's have a toast together and celebrate becoming friends." Xin Ziyi was the first to pick up the beer, and then Yun Xian, Yun Chen, and Yun Yang all picked up the beer. Xin Ziyi held up her beer and said, "Three uncles, let's toast our friendship. Cheers, cheers. They were all lively on the Yunxi mountain, raising glasses to celebrate their unforgettable friendship.